What a dick. What a dick.
And we are live, gentlemen.
I just realized in that moment of us not having to say anything how much I hate you on this podcast. Like I know you're in charge of like the production
Do you hate
and
I
all
have
that
all the
stuff,
power?
but just seeing you, yeah, like I hate the first. Yes, I hate that you have all the power.
I
Second,
know.
I hate that little ass cup looks huge in your hand, so it looks like you're drinking way more than you are.
But
You
let's
know?
be real. I am drinking more than you are, for sure.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. That cup, that cup just looks larger in your tiny hands.
My
You got
red
those
drink.
over there.
This is my starter.
What is that, Chris?
It's kind of like a strawberry daiquiri drink kind of thing.
Okay, your
Don't
wife
do
made
that.
that for you. I'm assuming.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like, yeah, that's fine.
I
That's
almost
fine.
want
I
a
get it.
pink
I get it.
shirt.
We got Marlon watching. What is
You
going
should've.
on right now? Look, Marlon. I know what Marlon does. Marlon, if you're still on, you like to come on and give a hardcore laughing face,
Aha.
and then he logs off.
And leave.
I need
Yeah,
I need
exactly.
some interaction, Marlon. I know you're an essential employee, and you've got a letter from like the president or from like the head of the CIA, but you got to talk to us. What's going on, man?
There you go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we got my boy Chris back on. We've had him on before. This time he gets the whole podcast to himself. And so instead of being interrupted by that ginger that was just taken off the banned list from the podcast because he got a light so we can actually see him. Shout out to my cousin, Robert Steven Diaz. We got Chris, man. You know what it is. Shout out to Rob. How you doing, brother? How's the online teaching going, man?
I mean, it's it is what it is. I mean, like I told you before, I'm in charge of the specials or electives, so it's not mandatory for them to do the work that we assign, but it's encouraged, and it's kind of like goes outside of the regular academics. So it's going well. I mean, I'm busier more than before, but it is what it is.
So one of my friends is also a teacher, Danny, who we've had on the podcast. I've known the kid for like 12 years now. Man, he's saying he's dealing a lot like working from home. It's a lot like in your like t-shirt and basketball shorts, dealing with emails and text messages from teachers and calls. So how do you find that new normal in that workflow?
I mean, it's just it's different because you're in front of a computer for a long period of time. And I'm not really in my element kind of a thing. I'm not, teaching, I'm not interacting with the students and things like that. So it's just, it's weird, but at the same time, I'm just trying to get adjusted to it.
I got you. But yeah, man, so what do you, because obviously not obviously, if you don't know, Chris is also a father. How are you doing with having the kids at home and having them, you know what I mean? Because how old are your kids now?
My son is 8 and my daughter is going to be 5 on Friday.
Okay. Well, happy birthday to your daughter.
Yeah.
What are you doing to keep them entertained so you don't go crazy, bro?
I mean, like I said before, I have an amazing wife. She kind of, deals with that. So she lets me, do what I have to do. So, shout out to her because she's amazing. Obviously, she's better than me. So,
yeah.
And she gets, she deals with that, and I help her out every now and then, but she takes most of the workload. So
yeah. All right, John, what you got in your Bugle Boy t-shirt? Your mic, bro. Your mic's not on. Mic's not on. He's an idiot. Swear to God. Like he might carry the software, but I carry this whole fucking show. Don't forget to unmute your mic, bro.
You know what? I've got too much.
No,
I got two laptops. I got 2 laptops. I got my phone. I'm trying to monitor the chat. All right, you stay in your lane.
Yeah, I know. You're right. You're right about that. Eddie, sorry. All right, go ahead, bro.
No, man. Damn, I'm trying to get your boy Frank and everyone on because they wanted to talk about what's this deal with everyone waiting at one line when there are two registers open? Is that a Miami thing, a Florida thing?
That's
I don't know what
it's a Florida thing, bro. Listen,
really.
it's a Florida thing, bro. It's absolutely like it's. I think it's more so because there's sections of Florida, right? Like there's South Florida, there's Miami. Once you get to Broward, it starts to change a little bit, and then once you get to like Central Florida, it gets a little bit more southern, right? And there's just a lack of understanding that happens here. That like you know what I mean. Some people are wearing masks, some other you know what I mean. Like we talked about, there's just people who don't know what the hell to do. And dude, like I talked to you about a lot. There's people who like stand right over you while you're trying to do shit. Where you almost have to like elbow an old white lady or old lady. You know what I mean? Most of the people around me are white, so sorry, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Like they just don't abide by any other guidelines, bro. It's just so weird, man. So yeah, if everybody's standing in one line, obviously you're not going to be 6 feet apart. I know Frank's got to be going crazy because that guy's a former cop and he has to enforce the law.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, talking about people going, you know what? It brought some memories back. You know how I have my episodes and my rants with these fucking Starbucks baristas. Like they're not even millennials,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They're Generation Z or whatever the fuck they are.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
but I've been in those situations where, by the way, this has something to do with Starbucks baristas. I just found that I just had to throw them on the bus again because I dislike them so much with their fucking horn rim
do really
glasses
hate
and purple and blue and green hair, whatever the fuck I don't know. They're different.
You should probably talk to somebody about that.
I should, right?
We get it.
Yeah.
But I can't do
Not now.
I can't do a
You can't.
Skype counsel. Oh, I can't do a Zoom counseling session because then it won't be private. So my privacy won't be protected. So I can't do that.
This is true.
No,
This is
so I
true.
found myself in these lines where like you're at a grocery store and you're waiting in line and then a new register opens, right?
Mhm.
And so they'll say like next person in line. Except there's always some asshole, and lately that asshole has been me. But usually there's always some asshole who'll just be at the very end of the line and he just runs,
Yeah.
runs to the front. I'm like, no, dude. They said the next person up, not the last asshole up. Right? So just chill. I'm
Yeah.
next.
Yeah.
And
It's always worth.
bro,
It's always worse
yeah.
when that person has like a huge grocery list, like a huge cart. I was like, bro, what the fuck?
Fucking card, and they're paying what by check, some bullshit like that.
Yeah.
That's still seeing that. Now on the opposite side of that, I've had instances. This shit still happens, and where I have like two or three things, and there are 3 or 4 people in front of me, and they're just like, oh, just go in front of me. I'm like, this shit is still happening. It must be because I'm in Ohio,
Yeah.
and Middle America, and all that fake friendliness bullshit. I don't know if the South does that. They're supposed to have
No, around me,
Southern hospitality.
around me they do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I know. Around me they do it. Like it's all
but not in
situational.
Miami, right?
You know what I mean?
I've had like once or twice where they're like, "Oh, you got one thing? Go ahead." I'm like, oh shit, really? Wow. It's few and far between, though.
Mm-hmm.
Few and far between.
Okay. Yeah,
A
because
lot
in
of
Miami.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, in Miami, I've had the
No, go
instances
ahead.
where it's the opposite in Miami, right? You go to Home Depot, you go to wherever, and holy shit, like I go to the register, and I'm getting attitude. I'm like, you got a job here. I'm just asking you to do a price check or do something, like,
Mhm.
and she's the person I remember was a female. I was like she's fucking God's gift to fucking cash registers and cashiers. I'm like, what is going on? Like, just do your job. I'm not asking you to do anything else. But they give you attitude. I'm like, what the fuck? It's like completely different environment. And I haven't seen that really outside. Like, yeah, I haven't. I mean, I've been in Cali, I've been in Texas, Washington State, the Carolinas, and I'm sure it's happened. But in Miami, it's happened so much more often where people just have attitude. And I mean, it's a shitty job. It's a thankless job, but fuck, like, you don't have to take it out on me.
Just do your job.
Yeah. Do your fucking job. Now,
You don't like it? That's cool.
Speaking of
something
do your
else.
fucking job. Yeah. Speaking of do your fucking job. So now that these jobs that we would, as a society, right, like typically like kind of shit on, now they're like being deemed and termed essential. Do you guys, you know me, man, huge pay raise guy, right? Like, do you guys think that they should be getting paid more during these times? Like, not necessarily just not like a hazard pay, right? But just if you're because I don't want another situation like the 9/11 first responders. You know what I mean? Where they literally had to fight for their insurance and for all their benefits and shit like that. So I think we should try to nip this in the bud. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know
I'll
what
say
happens,
something.
bro.
I'll say something quickly, and then I'll let you guys actually weigh in on it. But if we don't want to pay them hazard pay, or if we don't want to increase the minimum wage, then how about we don't open those stores and they don't go to work? And then who's going to do it? And then do you think they now deserve to be paid more because those are the people that we rely on, those essential things, right? The grocery store, go to the pharmacy,
Yeah, the Walmart people.
the frontline healthcare workers.
Yep. Yeah, are you gonna volunteer to take those positions?
Right.
Not us, not you specifically, but the ones who think that they don't deserve that money. Like, you know me, man. I've always been a big proponent and a big, you know what I mean. $15 an hour is what it should be for you know what I mean, because it's not even like they're gonna be rich. You know, we talked about it ad nauseum on this podcast. Like, that money's just gonna go back into the community. They're gonna raise property taxes, have better schools. It's only gonna help everybody when the people with the least get more from corporations who get the most.
Yeah.
I don't know, bro.
They're not going to
But
save that
you know
money.
me, I'm just a fucking liberal.
I see your point.
Yeah, they're not gonna save it.
I see your point, but if we do raise it to, I'm saying, yeah, we need to raise the minimum wage. I agree with that wholeheartedly. But
Right.
you're talking about $15 an hour. You're talking about somebody that works
30.
that's at McDonald's or whatever, right? Raise the minimum
Right.
wage to $15. Now that person is going to have the same pay as me, where I had to go to a 4-year degree, get certified to be a teacher. I don't think that's equivalent, honestly.
But what it should actually is because it makes the market more competitive. What they should do is start paying you more.
I was going to
Right,
say,
just
they should
because
be paying
they're
you more than
getting,
that. Absolutely.
Right.
they should be paying you because $15 an hour if you work 40 hours a week. I think, John, I'm well established and I'm terrible at math, but you could check this for me. $15 an hour if you get 40 hours a week. It's like $31,000 a year with taxes. It drops you down to like almost around 20.
Something,
right? So
yeah.
it's not this insane amount of money, and the fact that I actually like that you oppose the you know what I mean, or have a different opinion, because sometimes this podcast, because we very rarely get opposing opinions, you know what I mean, like that we're able to have a bigger and better conversation. Is the fact that just because the people with less get a little bit more doesn't mean that they're taking from you, right? That's there's different terms for it, but like what I like to call it is like that's the starvation mentality, right? That like because we think there's so little bit to be had that we're fighting for that same dollar, when that's been proven now in the last 6 weeks that we got trillions of dollars to just fucking give away, just trillions of dollars. Like fucking Jeff Bezos just made is now with his stock buybacks and all that shit is a trillionaire at 1.1 trillion because everybody's buying from Amazon. Nobody's leaving their homes and his stocks are soaring, right? So people are getting more and more money. So we're not fighting for the same dollar. There's plenty of money to be had, but we're told that, hey, this person's gonna take it from me. This person with less than you. You know what I mean? It's the blame the poor. Like if you ever watched that movie The Big Short, that's exactly what they did. They blamed the poor and the immigrants. When the housing crisis. Again, bro, we're 36 years old, all of us, I think, right? Chris, you're 36?
Yeah, 35.
36?
Right.
Yeah. Dude, we've
28.
experienced 2 recessions. We've experienced 2 recessions in the last 15 years. Well, other generations never had that in their lifetime. You know what I mean? It's one thing that we're told is like we don't have enough for you, sorry. But Walmart's open making money. People making lines at 7 a.m. You know what I mean? They're still raking it in with one cashier and everybody's at self-checkout.
All right. I just think that if we do the $15 an hour, okay, these big businesses and all that, they're gonna just start automizing, the worker. You know what I'm saying? These companies are not gonna pay $15 an hour. Absolutely not. So they're gonna say, you know what? Okay, but I'm gonna get rid of these people and have these simple employees, automate do the automated
system.
job.
Yeah, I got you. Mm-hmm. John, what you got, brother?
No, I mean, I think what Chris has a good point, right? There was an article about some company in Japan last year, or the year before last, where they automated God knows how many jobs, like, and that caused a big panic because people thought, oh, we're headed towards automation and we're going to start losing jobs. A lot of those jobs, like the McDonald's employees, where you don't need a server because they have computers now, and all you need is someone to make the food. You don't need a cashier anymore. Things like that. Um,
Right.
Data entry jobs that can be automated, like Chris was talking about, and so I think that's a reality because what'll happen. Part of
Yeah.
what I think will happen, everything's a gray area, right? Not everything, things aren't black and white for the most part. So some of the things that will
Yeah, it's all
happen is that,
nuance.
yeah, employees that stay on will
Mm-hmm.
take on more of the workload because I think as employees, especially I've worked some people now that haven't, whether they can't or they refuse to, they haven't really adjusted to the times. They don't want to use new software. We're talking about rolling out new software now and kind of browning out old software and moving on and automating some things. And they're fighting it.
Mm-hmm.
But these people are 50, 60, almost 70 years old. They don't want to. They don't want to learn something new when they're getting so close to retirement. And I'm not saying it's just older people, right? That sounds like ageism. It could be someone young that doesn't want to do it, doesn't have the skill set, whatever. Um, so
Right.
when we start to automate things, then yeah, people will lose jobs, and those that stay on will just take more of the burden. Will take on more responsibilities for possibly lesser pay, right? But I think while that could happen, I think it'll also strengthen labor unions or employees' rights because if you're paying someone $15 an hour, I think every other profession like Chris who went and got a 4-year degree and I did the same thing and I studied and I've moved
Yep.
up the career field, we have that same argument to make as far as we have these credentials, we should definitely be compensated. I think I'm compensated well.
Yep.
um, you know Teachers, depending on where you are not compensated as well. Some areas that varies by state and by parts of the country, I'm sure. Cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, some
Yep.
but overall teachers are probably not are underpaid. So yeah, that's a case for you to and you and your workers union, if you're part of a union, to fight for a better CBA, to fight for better rights, better pay, benefits, all those things. So I see what you're saying, but I also think it helps make a case for you and in your career field or other people to fight for better benefits and higher pay. And the money's out there. I mean, we are a fiat currency. We just print money out of thin air. That's what it is. We're not backed
Mm-hmm.
by anything except the hope and the faith in the U.S. economy. That's it. And
The
as long as
belief
that
in the dollar.
exists,
Yep.
yeah, as long as that exists, it doesn't. You can print as many dollars as you want. Like hyperinflation won't happen.
True. KG, what you got?
Um, True. I mean, I understand. I just think that we have to kind of think of a way because we're supposed to be this powerful nation and the richest nation in the world. I just don't
Mhm.
believe we should have, people sacrificing. I think everybody should live in a way that, could be somewhat comfortable. I don't know.
So it's somewhat sustainable, right?
Yeah, I guess. I just, there's no simple answer. Just
Nah.
Yeah, we're not economists.
Where do you? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we're not. Listen, we're not. And I talk about it all the time, and we say it all the time. Me and John, like we're just assholes on the internet, right? Like we just spewing out opinions that like we've researched or we read up, and we just kind of, you know what I mean. Nobody should take this podcast as like our gospel, right? Like we're not the Joe Rogan podcast that like has economists on, and then like his whatever he says is what goes viral and things like that. You know what I mean? Like we're not at that level of power, obviously. And again, we're, you know what I mean. We're not. We're just giving our opinion on certain things. But what makes me curious is like where that thought process comes from, right? Like where we're in similar positions, right? We're all in the same exact position now, like having to be home. Like sometimes I have to go to work. You know what I mean? Like when I have cases and stuff like that. For the most part, both of you work from home. So like with that thought process, that like somebody like where we get that idea from, that the people would make, if they make a little bit more, it would only really affect the company, right? the corporation's profits, right? So then what you could do is incentivize the employees to maybe have the ability to, when they get to a certain point, have the ability to buy stocks in the company. And you know what I mean? Because once you feel like, then that way you feel like you're more part of the company, and you work hard as an employee. Like, I don't know what you guys, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking like there's different ways, because we look, man, we all know not everybody's cut out to be a college graduate. Not everybody's cut out to be a teacher, an engineer, a doctor. There's certain fields that are going to be required for people, because 329 million people, right? Let's say 160 of that is adults, right? Not all of those people are going to be doctors, lawyers, teachers. They're going to find different trades and avenues. So there has to be a reinvestment into that. And me and John talked about it on Sunday with Felix. There has to be an investment into trades and building trade schools up, because that stuff is going to be needed now too, right? Because those are things that can't be automated for real. Like, there's a bunch of people around my house, like they're putting up new light posts. So there's like 15 workers working on that. There has to, you know what I mean? One of my good friends is installing 5G towers. Like, there's all these other things that you can learn that isn't as glorified as being a doctor, lawyer, engineer, you know what I mean, teacher, yada yada yada. That has to also be discussed and brought into those conversations. A lot of the times, I think it's because, this is just my opinion, right? I'm the only guy here with no kids, right? But we were all kids where we were told, "Hey, man, we could be anything. You could be anything you want when you grow up." So when you don't become those trades or those jobs that can be as successful, you know what I mean, the ones I already mentioned, you kind of feel like a failure, like you didn't make it, and you kind of feel like you're settling for the career field you fell into. When you don't start to think of it like maybe this was the career field I was made for, you know what I mean, or whatever it is.
Hey, before we get into before Chris answers, you were a kid, dude, with that big ass head of yours. I thought you were just like some big ass 15-year-old walking around from the time you were a 3-year-old.
I was actually born with this. It's well established that I was born with this size head. So my mom still hates me. Natural birth. I love her to death.
I'm still her favorite son.
It took me 36 years to grow into this head. So personally, John, fuck you, and that was offensive.
Right?
Yeah, I'm still your mother's favorite son. That should be more offensive to you.
You're the other white son.
I just think, you know, we are. It's you know, I think it's capitalism. And, you know, we're a capitalist country. And you know, you always want to, you know, do better for yourself. Like I don't know who I was talking to before. You know, my parents would tell me, you know, you can do anything you want, but it was never told to me that you had to work hard for it, that you have to sacrifice for the hours. And that's what's with this generation, where you can say, oh, you can do anything you want, sweetheart, but nobody tells them that you have to work your ass off. You know? So I just think, you know, you just have to work your ass off to get better, to be better, and to put yourself in a better situation. You know, because I just, you know, I think that the $15 lever, one, brings in automation, because probably those companies don't want to pay that. And number two, it's just a person complacent, I believe.
I agree with that.
$15, I'm doing okay. I can, you know, feed my family. I can support my family, and $15, that's okay. But there's no, you know, there's no incentive to, oh, let me just be better. Let me work harder. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me invest or anything like that. You know, so that's what I believe. You know, like right now, you know, I love being a teacher, but that's not what I'm going to be in my life. I'm right now in the beginning stages of doing my own thing and opening up my own school. That's what I want to do.
Right.
You know, I just think that giving people that motivation, you know, you can't hold everybody's hand while crossing the street. It's impossible, you know? And I believe that's what happens when you give up. You want $15? Okay, here you go, so you can survive. But what happened to Darwinism? You know?
So you're definitely a social Darwinism supporter, or that's how you view things?
I'm more of a capitalist, you know? You gotta do better to survive.
No, absolutely. And man, like what, $15 an hour? Like Ben said, it's $31,000 a year after taxes, probably like $21,000. If we say that on average we keep about 70 to 75% of that income, then it's
I mean,
in
yeah.
the low 20s. And like you can't support a family on that. You can support yourself, and to be able to pay rent and maybe car and gas and stuff like that. You can't really have a family unless you have maybe a significant other who's also working, and you guys can, like you said, survive. There's
Yeah.
no saving or anything going on. No, but like well, before I keep going, like I'm not. It's not an argument. It's a discussion we're having, right? Because it sounds like
Right.
I'm like trying to bash what you're saying, your point of view. Because I see what you're saying, absolutely. Because you
Yeah,
mentioned that you're
100%.
trying to start
100%.
up your own business as well, and I mean, I'm lucky that I'm compensated really well, and I'm doing the same thing. Like regardless whether I was making $20,000 a year or what I'm making now, I'm still, I'm still, I still have a drive to do something else. My drive is to retire in 10 years or less than 10 years now, so that I can
Right.
take that and then do something else. My wife and I were doing some small business on the side, selling on Amazon and eBay. Um, Now I'm exploring internet marketing and selling online, and just working with. And I've been looking into it for a while now. Facebook ads and Google ads and everything that goes into internet marketing, affiliate marketing, which is this. I mean, there are so many classes and articles and videos you can see. You just have to start doing it and apply those things that you read and learn and watch. But yeah, and it's free education. So, but I think that's one of the things that's on out there, the education piece. Because while I've found this niche, this thing of affiliate marketing and internet marketing to make money online, not everyone, either they don't know, they're not exposed to it, and then the traditional avenues of education, like going to a trade school, like going to a community college, like going somewhere, they don't have the money, they can't afford it. And that's the other part. If we're not going to raise minimum wage, um, then we should focus our attention on increasing opportunities for affordable education, because salaries haven't increased that much, but education has continued to just go up and skyrocket. Since I graduated. I mean, or since, yeah, when I went to Florida State, I was paying like $150 for a class. Now, and that's a public school, and now my son is paying $450 a credit for a public school. It's crazy, and I mean we can get into the nuance of like, okay, well, kids are graduating, millennials graduated with 80, 90, $100,000 of debt, and they shouldn't be paying that much. And my argument to Ben one time was, well, they shouldn't be studying basket weaving either. You know what I mean? Like underwater basket
Right.
weaving. And I know that's not what they're doing, but a lot of times, like
Yeah.
parents aren't always, that kid might be the first kid in the family to go to school. So their parents might not be the best people to go seek guidance from. There's no mentorship
Advocate.
and counselors in school.
Yeah.
And I know this because I was a recruiter and I had to put X amount of people in the army. Counselors and schools they have to put X amount of people in 4-year schools, and other schools, they have to meet these quotas as well. And
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the best approach to have. Where are they really giving real counseling to these students, or are they just trying to put everyone into a 4-year school where they might be better suited for another path? And also, school's expensive. School's expensive, and I don't think it should be that way. It's crazy. If we're not going to raise the minimum wage, and then the cost of education is going up, there's got to be some kind of middle ground there.
Absolutely. It's supposed
Right,
to be happy
because
medium.
you're only.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, KG. Go ahead. I'll go after.
And I agree with that 1,000%. There has to be a happy medium. You can't have this inflation of education and have these minimum wages. It's ridiculous, honestly. There has to be some type of medium. Obviously, there's no one sentence answer, but at the end of the day, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? And also, I believe, you don't have to have a 4-year degree. You can have a vocational education. A lot of people are stressing they don't have a 4-year degree, blah blah blah. Like it's great, it's wonderful, but honestly, it's not necessary. I'm not bashing
I don't have
that
a 4-year degree.
But at the end of the day, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have a 4-year degree. I got a 2-year degree. I got my license for X-ray. And you know what I mean? There's different avenues. I'm kind of You know what I mean? Prove that there's different avenues to have a successful life and a successful living. You know what I mean? Like this thought that you can only make that path with a 4-year degree is again something that has to be talked about more and discussed more, because there's way to do it. Like you could do an internship or what's it called, like a when you like a shadow like a plumber, or you know what I mean. You could do
Like
all these different types
apprenticeship,
of things.
right?
There's yeah, an apprenticeship. Like there's all these things again that like aren't talked about because of what you said. Like our parents told us, oh, you could be anything you want to be, but there's a comma there, not a period, right? The comma is, but you got to work your ass off. But you got to find what works for you. That's we thought a lot of it growing up was us thinking that that's the period, or you could be anything you want to be. And I know from personal experience, like when I got kicked out of high school, right? Because I got kicked out of Springs, they withdrew me while I was home. Like I felt like a complete and utter failure. Like at that time, you know what I mean? Because I was 18, I thought it was cool. It's like motherfucker, I got kicked out. I don't give a fuck. I don't care, whatever. But you know, deep down, I was like, dude, what the fuck am I gonna do now? Like what's my path? Like I thought, you know what I mean? Like middle school up until 9th grade, I had fucking A1As and I was good. But I got to high school and just fucked off for 3 years, and then I was out. Then I had like no repercussions because you know all I've been told was like, oh, you gotta, you know what I mean? You're gonna make it. You could be anything you want. You could be anything you want. But I never put in the work. You know, I got to high school and I just like I stopped. I would skip, got into fights, hang out. You know what I mean? Hang out by wood shop, not giving a shit and not caring. And at no point was like, yeah, well, shout out to Woodshop. You know what I mean? Like at no point was there that comma. Yeah, man. I never actually took Woodshop. Yo, that's just where we would chill for lunch. You know what I mean? So it was like, again, it was like, and honestly, so like I said it right now to you guys on what I'm saying is like on this podcast, like I never thought of it as it being a comma and not a period. When your parents are telling you, yo, you could be anything you want. You know, like again, like it's hard for me to say that because I'm the only one that's not a parent. You know what I mean? But you have to have those conversations. Like, look, whatever you do, you're gonna have to bust your ass for it. It's not gonna be easy, but whatever path you choose, you got to make sure it's worth it. Like, what do you tell your kids? Like, I know John has older kids. He has a 20 and a 13-year-old.
11.
And Chris, you got an 8 and a 5. 11. Well, 13 because he's taller than you. You know what I mean? So I put him as a teenager.
Almost.
Well, he might as well be. You know what I mean? So like what conversations, John, did you have with Javi as he was, you know what I mean, as he was growing up and going through high school?
With Tony? Well, I'll tell you the conversation
Tony.
I just had with Javi. I had a conversation with Javi yesterday about
okay.
you know, I don't get upset with him, right? Tell him, you know, tell him, are you upset? And I think the one thing that kids probably hate to hear more is not really being upset, but that their parent is disappointed in them, right? Like that crushes their soul or something. But I talked to him, and I've mentioned this before, where I came from in Venezuela, and that little town was on the map last year when the buses were being lit on fire and people were out protesting in the streets in the capital of Venezuela.
Mm-hmm.
But they were also in that little town. There were like people burning buses, and that town was on the border of Colombia, Venezuela. So I lived like 30 minutes away from Colombia. And I told him, hey, look, that's where I lived. I left when I was 6.5, but who knows what would have happened if I had stayed there. And so I'm fortunate, and I don't say that to guilt him into anything, but it's just like I remind him, you can put in all the hard work, you can do everything right, and life will still deal you a bad hand. That's just what happens. But you can't just have that mentality, well, if I'm dealt a bad hand, then so be it. No, like you still got to put in the hard work, because it works the opposite way. You can have a shitty hand starting out. I grew up in that little town, and then I ended up coming to the U.S. when I was 6, and I've had all these opportunities. So it could be the opposite. And you don't know what's going to happen, but you can control. And you know what? We think we control a lot of things, and we really don't. But at the end of the day, what you can control is the effort you put into things, and control that, the effort you put into things. And if you try something and you don't succeed, and I mean, it's not a failure. If that's what you want to do, get up and try again. Like, that's what determines what kind of person you are. When you hit a wall, if you're in a new math class and it's honors algebra and it's more difficult than before because now you can't rely on, I'm just intelligence, so I can just show up and not study and just pay attention in class, and I don't have to do any other studying. Now you're in a harder class, so now you have to pay more attention. Now you have to study a little bit more at home. Or if you're, I put that Instagram video of him learning that, singing that song. It's like, well, what if you are trying to learn a new song? What are you going to just give up when it becomes difficult because the middle part of the song is too fast? Are you going to get frustrated? Sure, it happens, but you're just going to quit and find another song? Or are you going to just continue to practice and get better? You're not going to see the progress because when you hit those hard spots, the progress is going to be incremental and it's going to be very, very small. You won't see it. You won't see it until 2 weeks later, maybe, where you're like, oh crap, I got through that part and you didn't even notice it. And so that's like you and Chris said, like it's about the hard work. You got to put in the work. He's all about playing Fortnite and watching people play online and stuff like that. And so I'm like, do you think these guys that you watch that have 30 million viewers, do you think that just happened overnight? How many years did they put in order to get better and gain that audience and do all that stuff? Whatever it is you're trying to do. So I try to relate it to what he does and what he likes. But whatever it is that you're trying to do, like the people that are successful, you might see them, like that's all you see, the overnight success, quote unquote. What you don't see and what people don't talk about is the other stuff, the ugly part, the stuff that's not pretty, which is all the hard work, all the practice, all the failures, and not really failures because you didn't succeed at first, you got up and tried again, tried it differently. And so that's what I try to talk to him about. Like one, put in the work, and two, you know how some people are dealt a shitty hand and some people have advantages. You might say they're unfair advantages, right? Some people are born into wealthy families, whatever. And I tell him that all the time. I was like, you have an unfair advantage. We're not a wealthy family. We don't come from money, but you're in a better situation than I was because we're in a position to provide these opportunities for you. Whatever it is, piano lessons, singing lessons, tutoring if you ever need it, whatever it is, studying for your SAT, whatever it is, we are able to provide that to you. So you have that unfair advantage that a lot of kids, even though you don't see it in school, some of them don't have it. And don't let that go to waste, and don't let that go to your head where you're like, well, I can just show up because I'm able to memorize stuff or I'm able to learn quickly. It's like at some point you can only get so far on that, and you're going to get passed by people that are just working their ass off, that have that drive, that didn't have stuff given to them, that didn't start off, whatever, 20 steps ahead, and that's all they know is just putting in the work and busting their ass, and eventually, it's those people that succeed. I know, you have the Jared Kushners and the Ivankas. That's like a different level where you're just born into that kind of money. Yeah. But there are lower levels where people are born with advantages and they kind of throw them away because, for whatever reason, parents weren't around. They didn't instill that work ethic in them, and I'm constantly trying to remind them of that. When I see he's slipping or whatever, or he's frustrated, I kind of just talk to him. And yesterday was one of those days where we talked about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, KG? You got younger kids, so.
Yeah, I got younger kids, but I still talk. I mean, he's 8 years old. He's starting to understand, what's going on around him, and I try to make him understand that you have to, not give up, and sometimes he gets frustrated when he's he loves hockey right now. Hockey is like his thing. So I see him sometimes on his iPad and he gets frustrated, and I tell him, you can't give up. You got to keep on going. You got to keep on going. Right. I try to instill that in, and when I'm teaching my students, I don't just teach stuff that is given to me. I also try to teach them life skills. I try to incorporate the things that they like. For example, I always tell them, look, you can invent any application, and you could be a millionaire, but you have to keep on trying. You can't just give up at the first sign of struggle, and they love it when I talk to them about that. It's inspiring to them,
Yeah, I think a lot of it. I think a lot of it is just us having. I'm assuming, right? A lot of it is having conversations with your kids that you kind of wish you heard. You know what I mean? Where because you've been, you know what I mean? Just like how your parents learned things differently than you did because they had it harder. You know what I mean? We all come from immigrant families. They had it harder. They came here one way or another. Yada yada yada. So they had different things where like they busted their ass the best they could. But it's just the natural evolution and the natural like evolvement of things that, you know what I mean, with technology, that job that they had isn't necessarily the same now, and you know what I mean. And there's different ways, and you have to, you know what I mean, just kind of have that conversation with them. Like, look, this is how it was for me. It might not be the same way for you, but we'll figure it out. There's that evolution. You can't be afraid of those challenges because look, like, you know, a little inside baseball, as they say, like on this podcast, like we've had our challenges, right? Like we've tried tons of different softwares to have people on. At the beginning, it was just me. John came on in the last, I think, 40 episodes, and he's only made it grow. And we've had our, is it 30? Is it 30 episodes?
Something like that, right? Since
Whatever,
episode
man. I
30.
round up.
All right.
No, like episode 80 something. Like
Maybe.
episode 80 something, where like at 114. You know what I mean? And me and him have like there's weeks where we didn't do podcasts because we're trying to figure out different softwares and seeing what works, and you know what I mean? Like and we started drinking on our podcast in the last 10, 15 episodes.
Whiskey Wednesday.
You know what I mean? Which makes it more Whiskey Wednesday, and definitely not whiskey on Sunday at 1 though. We learned that a couple of weeks back. And we're never doing that again. That was a bad idea. You know what I mean? Like even like at our age, we still have our challenges. We have our struggles. You know what I mean? Not just the COVID-19 thing that's happening right now and all that other shit. It's just in our daily lives. You know, we don't have an off spray for our challenges and our struggles and trying to figure out how you're going to pay bills and how you're going to figure it out if your wife or your husband loses their job. You know what I mean? Like we still have these struggles now, so we gotta kind of show them. You know what I mean? I have those conversations with our friends about like, yo, like we all have challenges, man. We gotta figure this out. Like there's no point in your life when challenges aren't gonna happen. Even Warren Buffett, as rich as he is, or Bill Gates has their issues and has their challenges.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? At no point are you not gonna have challenges, and that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're a failure. That's just a testament to your hard work. You know?
Absolutely. I mean, Steve Jobs. I always, look up stuff about him, and he went through a lot when he was with us.
Yep. Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
I actually use it because I was the first to go to college in my family, right? So, like I said it earlier, my mom just knew what she'd heard, but she wasn't really someone that I can talk to as far as experience having gone to college, etc. And so, I went to college, dropped out, went to the army, finished my degree while I was active duty. But like you said, you have a 2-year degree and a license and certification. That's not the only route, right? Yep. So I talked to my kids about that. Even though I did that, and some of the things that I've tried to do, some of the business that I've tried to do, you don't need a college degree. You just need the will to learn, and that's something that was taught to me really by my aunt when I was really young, and my mom was like working, and my aunt stepped up and helped take care of me and taught me how to read and all that stuff. And so I think teaching kids how to having that thirst for learning and how to be, I think, what's the word, autodidacts, like just learning to learn, having the ability to learn, right? Where you're self-taught, you can be self-taught in a lot of things. And so for like the podcast, that's a perfect example. Like we just explore different tools, and you were using OBS, and I was familiar with that because I actually helped Javi a few years ago, and he wanted to do streaming and stuff like that. And then options, we had to change up options because someone wanted to start charging, and so we wanted to have more guests on, we wanted to have different layouts, and it's just a matter of I think that's something that maybe isn't taught in schools, isn't taught to kids, and maybe parents don't. Not every parent has that ability where they just tell them, "Hey, you don't have to rely on school. You want to know how to do this? This is how you do it. Hell, go to YouTube. You're already watching videos on YouTube. YouTube will show you how to do it. Or you prefer to read? Go to How Stuff Works or whatever. Just Google it and then read the articles and do the step-by-step stuff. And it's easy again because I have a job where I work from home whenever I want, and I don't have to work more than 40 hours a week. And some parents don't have that. Some people don't have that luxury, right? People are working multiple jobs just to put food on the table. And so even in this day and age, even in 2020, you still have people that don't have laptops or computers at home, or they can't pay for internet. Um, it sounds easy, but not everyone has that ability. Like even people that don't have the ability to go to college should have the ability to go online and learn a new skill, but they don't have the money to do it. Their parents they're not exposed to it, and I think we need to make that avenue like just open to people, because whether it's an apprenticeship, whether it's going to school, whether it's just get on YouTube, get on Skillshare, Skillport, or whatever, and learn a new skill. Udemy, which is like you get classes for $10. You watch the classes and you learn a new skill. Whatever it is, we need to be able to spread that word to people, because there's too much information online, too much education to be had, where you don't have to pay $50,000 or $30,000 a year, and still people are not. I don't know. We're not getting that word out. The focus is still on go to school, get this 4-year degree. It's going to set you up for a career down the line. So I'm glad that I've been exposed to all those avenues, and I can talk to my kids about that. And I say, hey, look, if you want to be an engineer, you definitely have to go to school, right? You have to have an engineering degree.
Yeah.
But like, if that's what you decided you want to do now at a young age, like we can explore these engineering courses. Northwestern has a program to do these things as a young kid, and you explore like code.org and the 1 hour of coding and all of that stuff. Like the things that I've learned, it's not because a teacher taught it to me. It's because when I was young, my aunt taught it to me, and we grew up in Venezuela poor as shit, but she had that like entrepreneurial spirit and mentality, and she kind of passed it on to me, and that's how I've tried to expose my kids to that. Like, hey, you don't have to rely on anyone else. Like, you can learn this stuff. The information's out there. You just got to look for it. Unfortunately, not everyone knows that. Surprisingly, in 2020, but it's just unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, the knowledge is out there. The knowledge is out there. Like me, I teach computer science. And I can say that I don't know everything about computer science. It's everything that I've learned. Watching YouTube. Messing around with code.org and things like that. That's how I've learned. I have no idea how to open up a charter school, but I'm researching. I'm learning.
Right.
So I think that thirst for knowledge is what gets you ahead. Not just a 4-year degree.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just gonna bring up something random right now because I feel like we've covered that pretty accurately. Adequately.
Well, before you bring it up, I do want to say one thing. Time, you can give me the wrap it up B in 30 seconds if
okay.
I go on.
Hold on. Let me get the app open right now.
Starting now. Okay.
Let me get the app.
Anyway.
Open. All right, I got it. All right.
What we're doing right now, this conversation is sort of like a town hall, right? Like we have a representative democracy. That's what we should be having. We're talking about changing laws and changing things on the federal level or state level. We should be having these conversations in cities and towns. Don't you fucking do it to me, by the way. Yes. Don't you fucking do it. I'm talking. All right. But that's what we should be having. These conversations should be had, and they're not had by people. They're just made by by Congress, and then they're passed, and then we just live with them. And we need to be having these conversations as bigger groups.
Absolutely.
And I think you're right. Like I think that's kind of the core of what I want our podcast to be, right? Like these are the conversations that we really care about, right? Like everyday people. Like there's nobody on the things that we talk about that can disagree and not have an opinion on it, right? Because again, it's a conversation. Like earlier we had a difference of opinion and we had a good, nobody called each other assholes or cucks or you know what I mean? No stupid shit like that or conservative or nobody gave each other a title, right? And it was just a difference of opinion. Like everything Chris said, I understood. You know what I mean? But it's a conversation. Like you have to be open to the sharing of ideas. Where if you lock yourself down in an echo chamber, I totally agree with you. Like that's why I always say, like, yo, man, like we're always down to have conservatives on, people who differ from opinion. Like me and my mom, love her to death. She still threatens me with the eyes and la chancleta, right? Like we have differences of opinions on a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like it's human nature. Like no, me and like no, we're not all fucking sheep, right? Like we all have our own brains, and we all view things differently, even the same thing. And you got to have the ability to have that conversation without getting upset to the point where like you just start insulting the other person, because then you've lost the argument. right? Like you gotta be able to have these healthy conversations because let's be honest, representatives don't represent us; they represent corporations. And if you think if it's one or the other, it's that one is better than the other, then you're not really paying attention. Like again, like Congress and the Senate passed the trillions of dollars for the corporations, and today we got you know what I mean. We got our stimulus check, and that's all we getting. But they're already talking about another bailout for more corporations. You know what I mean? Like we got to have these conversations, and I don't know, man, and just be okay with having them, bro. Like we're not gonna agree, and that's fine. But understand that there's other people with similar frustrations than you, and it's okay. You're absolutely right, Jay. These are the
You're lucky to
conversations
get
that
that
need to be had.
Yeah, you're lucky to get that $1,200 because that wasn't part of the president's initial idea. That was brought on by some congressman, I believe, or someone else, but it wasn't part of his cabinet. Like this bailout was supposed to be essentially for the corporations, but someone else brought it up saying, "Hey," and it was a Republican, so props to them.
Yeah,
But that said,
it
"Hey,
was a
maybe we
congressman
need to
actually. I
help."
remember. Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we need to provide something for the
yep.
people that lost their jobs, and $1,200 isn't going to do shit, but maybe it'll help pay rent. Maybe it'll help put food on the table because there are a lot of people there that are not making 15 bucks an hour that are making a lot less, and they need something to help them get by because they lost their jobs, the
Dude,
business closed down, and it's not the corporations I'm worried about, right? When we talk about implementing a lot of these things, the people that really will be affected are the employees and small businesses, because the corporations,
yes,
when we talk about raising
I'll
minimum
be just
wage,
fine.
like what'll happen to the corporations? They'll pay less dividends to their shareholders. They'll It might take Jeff Bezos another 3 years to become a trillionaire instead of becoming a trillionaire now. That's all that does.
Yep,
But the economy still grows. It's these money hungry corporations that like
yep.
multinationals we're talking about, like these huge cap corporations that it won't really
It's
affect
the
them.
businesses. It's the multinational corporations that destroy the small businesses, right? Because you don't have a mom and pop hardware, you don't have a mom and pop anything. They consolidated all those businesses and pushed it out, but then they're the ones that become the victims when shit happens. You know what I mean? Like we're given this illusion of choice, right? Like most of your shopping really happens in one of three stores. You either go Publix, Target, Walmart, right? Like that's it. Like those are A, B, and C. You don't even get a D.
And
You
Amazon.
might go to Aldi's, right? Like you might go to Aldi's or Whole Foods if you got a little bit more money. You know what I mean? Whole Foods is always a little bit more pricey and shit like that. But for the most part, it's those choices, right? Most of America doesn't shop at Whole Foods, right?
Nope.
Because you don't see them off Martin Luther King Drive anywhere in the country, right? Like let's just be real. So they're in certain pockets of America. So for the most part, and then you still have the Winn Dixies out there and Kroger's and different depending on the state that you live in. So
Yeah.
we're giving these illusions of choice, and they destroyed all the mom and pops. They destroyed all las tienditas and the little stores, la vaquita that you used to be able to just
La
pull up
Vaquita,
and just to
La
grab some milk
Bodega,
or
right?
yeah, and pull up and grab some cereal for the next day. All that shit's gone.
Yep.
Like we're being looked at like you start to blame now. Like, oh, what are we gonna do without these major corporations? Well, it's because of the market and the capitalism that put the dependence on these huge corporations that you're almost sequestered to have to bail them out. You have to give them the money because then all the jobs are gone because you can't apply anywhere else. You can't go anywhere else. That's it. The small ass town that I live in is just major corporations: McDonald's, Winn Dixie, fucking Walmart, Burger King. You know what I mean? It's just billion-dollar corporations. That's it. There's no mom and pop shop here.
Yeah.
Same thing that happened in 2008, right? The banks were too big to fail,
Yes.
so we had to bail them out. Or that was the mentality, that slogan, whatever you want to call it, too big to fail. Um,
Yeah.
the
Big slogan.
economy depended too
Yeah.
much on them, and so we had to bail them out. We had no choice. So
Yeah.
instead of bailing out the American people, you're bailing out these corporations, these financial institutions.
Yes.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
You ever seen The Big Short, Chris? You ever seen that movie?
Entirety, not in its entirety, but yeah.
It's a hard movie to
Hey,
get through because it's very frustrating when you get to see how fucked up it is.
Yeah.
by the way, I know this is you were
What
gonna
up?
say, I don't know, you said you were gonna say something totally off topic, and I don't think you got to say it,
Oh
but
yeah,
I'm gonna say something
I was
totally.
gonna shit on your brother.
Oh,
I was gonna shit on your brother, but
oh yeah, we can do that
uh,
too. But I'm gonna say something totally off topic. I caught
what
uh,
up?
Tarot Tuesday.
Oh, my wife's thing? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, you need to
Yeah.
talk to your wife to help her.
Why is that?
For her to help you with your screen presence. No, it's really it's awesome. You need to,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
pretty
well
awesome.
done. Yeah, that's
Definitely get the word out there.
I know,
It's
dude. Like
definitely well done.
she is her. Listen, I love my wife to death. Obviously, I married her. I put a ring on it. You know what I mean? Cried when I proposed. There's a
think she
great
put a
picture of
ring
me
on
out
it.
there. No,
She asked you, right?
I got down on one knee. No.
She just said, "When the fuck you
I
gonna do this,
definitely
dude?
like.
Am I gonna just give me your hand?"
It was definitely a situation where she's out of my league, and I had to make sure I reeled her in before she got away, right? So she works hard at this shit, man. Like she is, you know what I mean? She has years of experience. She knows what looks good on TV. She was working on editing that clip for Tarot Tuesday, probably for like 6-7 hours. You know what I mean? Got the new laptop, the processor's 1,000 times better, and just the editing, and she's just working on it. I was like, babe, it looks great. But she's like, oh, I don't know. I was like, no, it's gonna be amazing. Like you bust your ass at this shit. Like you're doing great at it. You know what I mean? Because now she's able to have iMovie, and she's only gonna make it grow from there. You know, we share the ring light because you know how she does it there. She does great at it, bro. Like she's our harshest critic, and I'm the same way. But you know what I mean? Like we put it out there, man. I love what she
I
does.
just wanted to give a shout
Tarot
out
Tuesday's a monster,
to
bro.
Melanie because it was awesome, great video. I mean, not just the production value, but it was just it's good content. It was awesome, so I enjoyed it.
Dude,
Hopefully
and then let me tell you something.
continues to grow.
So we bought a new laptop, right? Because it was time to invest in one. Because it's her business. You know what I mean? She's a Mac person. I'm not. I'm very much analog and that's digital in a way. You know what I mean? From my Samsung to that, it's like a totally different world to me. But
Samsung's also
she's
digital,
using
in
it,
case
and I
you were
was like,
wondering.
no, but you know what I'm saying, though, right? Like PC to Mac, PC to Mac.
I know, different
right?
worlds.
So the different worlds. So it was time to get her new one just because the other one was over 10 years old. It was just time for a whole new thing. And then she's like looking at it, she's like, oh my God, it works so fast. I was like, yeah. And then because it's on the cloud, like as soon as she was done recording it on her phone, it goes right into her iMovie. Like it knows that it shot the video and it saves it. Bam, she's able to process it, clip it, do that whole thing. She created all the stuff on Canva. I was like, I've been telling you this for like 7 years. You have to, you know what I mean? You need a new laptop and it was just time. But once she removed iMovie and wasn't able to put it back on, that's what sealed the deal because she's got to put out the content for her business. Now, Chris, if you don't know, my wife is a witch, right? Like she does tarot card reading. She does readings for, I think she does a couple readings a week for all her friends. She always has return business. She does tarot cards. It's an amazing thing. Like all her readings always go longer because even if it's a stranger that she has a conversation with, like that reading will go for like 3 hours because it'll start for an hour and then they'll just get to know each other and then just keep going and going. It's amazing what she does, man. I'm really proud of her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
That's awesome.
But yeah, dude. Like, and she's always like helping me with the podcast, like what we should talk about and how to approach it. You know what I mean? Because she has a TVI and stuff like that. Then you know what I mean. Me and John discuss it, see what we can work on. She actually was the person who gave the name to this podcast. So she's a secret founder. You know what I mean? A silent founder and executive producer of the whole thing.
Shit.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I knew you didn't have
It's
the
a lot-
fucking
it's a lot
creativity
of-
in you to come up with that name. It's simple. It's simple, yet it gets to the point.
Exactly.
That's what-
Genius. Hey, fucking genius. I thought fucking genius. I should have known it wasn't Ben that came up with it.
I mean, obviously. Dude, she's so much more the creative person. She's so much more. Like right now, she's scrapbooking all this shit that like she has like this whole desk laid out in the living room that look with shit that like I have no idea about. And she'll like watch a YouTube video once and know how to do everything. It's insane, bro. It's fucking insane.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. And then on the complete opposite spectrum of that, you have Jonathan's brother who all he does is eat ass.
Here we go. You know what? I gave him a chance.
That was it.
I gave him. I was trying to give him a chance to come on and defend himself. He's like, "Nah, I'm good."
Yeah.
Because I knew this was
He
coming.
never has anything to say on. Yeah.
He's like live.
What were you
or
gonna say,
chat?
KG?
Oh, I was gonna go with
What up?
I mean, if you want this topic about the Michigan protesters.
Yeah, man. So, John, you have the KG? You got either one of you guys got the article pulled up? You want to read from it, and I want your honest take and opinion on the whole thing, because I have mine, but I don't want to. And we hadn't talked about it before. I just sent you guys the link. I think it was from like the New York Post or whatever, but they're quoting a lot of like Fox 2 Detroit and Fox News. So
Yeah, I was about to say the New
I
York
feel like
Post.
that's
I just brought it up. The New York Post is kind of like tabloid-ish, right? Along those
right,
lines,
Yeah.
it's not a very
right.
reliable. I don't know if they're left or right, but I know they're kind of like almost a tabloid. They're not. I don't consider them a real news source, but I got it up. I
Yeah.
mean, Chris, if you have it, you can read it.
So, it starts off with says thousands of protesters on foot and vehicles converged Wednesday on Michigan's capital to rally against Governor Gretchen Whitmer's stay-at-home orders in the state. Operation Gridlock, organized by the Michigan Conservative Coalition, created a huge bumper up for traffic jam around the Michigan Capitol building in Lansing. Maddock, an organizer for the group, said demonstrators include Republicans, Democrats, and independents. So it's not just one-sided. Okay. Quarantine is when you restrict movement of sick people. Tyranny is when you restrict the movement of healthy people. Every person has learned a harsh lesson about social distancing. We don't need a nanny state to tell people how to be careful, said Maddock. The protest had been expected to start at noon, but a line of vehicles stretching for miles began early in the morning. Operation Gridlock was just one of the many demonstrations planned across the country to push back on the stay-at-home orders, calling on state governments to focus on economic toll the coronavirus pandemic has caused, along with taking care of the sick. Nearly 17 million Americans have been laid off or furloughed in the past 3 weeks, or 1 out of every 10 workers. Let's see. The healthcare system is basically shut down. People with issues are having trouble seeing a doctor because everyone is focused on the virus. My husband and I are checking in on my in-laws, but even doing that is now breaking the law, said Maddock. Trump has created a White House task force charged with trying to find ways to reopen the economy. He has suggested a May 1st deadline, but some governors have said that timetable is too soon. The U.S. has more than 610,000 coronavirus cases, and the death toll has surpassed 26,000. There are more than 25,000 cases in Michigan, and 1,600 have died from the virus. Whitmer, who acknowledged that people in Michigan are under pressure by the order she signed last week, compared the stay-at-home order to being snowed in. So we just had snow. I got snow on the ground here in Michigan. I got snow on the ground in Lansing, and we're expecting up to 30 inches of snow in the Upper Peninsula, she said on the Today Show. The fact that we're cracking down on people traveling between homes or planting or landscaping or golfing really for a couple more weeks is not going to meaningfully impact people's ability to do so, because the snow will do that itself. Okay. Asked what factors she is looking at to determine whether it's safer to return to work, Whitmer said more testing capability. It's that we get robust testing, and that is still a struggle across this nation. We need some assistance from the federal government when it comes to swabs and reagents and making sure that we get the kind of robust testing that we need, so we get data that we can actually rely on. Some governors, including New York, Andrew Cuomo, have joined regional task forces to decide when to have their states ease restrictions and reopen their economies. Yeah.
What do you guys think about that? First, what do you guys think about? What do you think about the protest? I guess we should go back. What do you guys think about? Oh shit! It's raining. What do you guys think about the governor making that choice to make that call, and then Whitmer, and then the protest?
You're about to lose your internet connection, right? From your 1865
There's a
internet
good chance.
connection.
There's a good chance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Because it's pouring. Yeah.
Fucking Tom Sawyer.
Yeah.
Man.
I'm a very thin ass. Yeah.
I was about to say something from Saturday Night Live, but let me keep my mouth shut. Look, Ohio actually was the first state to shut down shut down businesses and schools and all those things. And the same thing's happening here, where there were people at the state capitol, kind of protesting, urging the government to open back up. And we obviously know that it's a necessity, right? Because people have to work. People that lost their jobs or were furloughed or whatever it is, they need to get back into the workforce, or they need to get back to work so they can start getting paid again. So I understand that. uh, from the government side or
Right.
from the people that have these shelter at home rules, I see where they're coming from, because if we open too soon, then like President Trump said, we can't let the cure be worse than the virus, or I'm not sure those weren't the exact
Yeah.
words, but something along those lines. Um,
Yep.
well, I get that. I get that from the protesters' point of view, but if we open too soon and people are still carrying that virus, like we don't know, right? When is too soon? When is not soon enough? We can only find out by just doing it. Whether it happens May 1st, whether it happens June 1st, who knows? Because I think people still get exposed, right? Like if I have to go to the supermarket to
Yep.
get something, even if I wear a mask, I might be exposed to someone that's carrying it, or I might be carrying it. I'm asymptomatic, and then I pass it on to someone. So we're gonna have to open at some point, and then that's when we'll find out like how bad it is. Because once we open, whether it's in May, whether it's in July, like if people that have it in them and don't show symptoms, they're gonna pass it on to people that um that are gonna suffer from it. So I get both sides. I get that people are saying, hey, I can't survive. I need to put food on the table. And I get the government saying, well, if
Absolutely.
we open up too soon, what we're gonna do is we're gonna spread. We flattened out the curve, and now we open too soon, and we're gonna spread it, and then you're gonna be out of work anyway, and then you will possibly be laid
Mhm.
off because you're in a job that doesn't have sick leave or whatever it is. So you're gonna be in the same position or worse because you're gonna be sick and
Yep.
without a job. So it's tough. I get where they're coming from because Ohio did the same thing, and again, I'm in one of those positions where I'm working from home, so I'm just gonna keep working from home. But that's, God, I was watching an interview or the news earlier today. I forgot what the percentage was of people that could work from home. It's not very high. The majority of people can't work from
No.
home, so
No.
we
Nope.
have to open up the economy. Is May 1st too soon? Really, I don't know. I think maybe we should give it a try because like $1,200 isn't gonna get people by. It isn't, and most Americans don't have any savings. Most of these studies say what to deal with a $400 plus emergency,
Yeah.
right? Let
Yeah.
alone not
Correct.
working for a month and not having income. So they have to get back to work, and I know that the risk is people that have the virus but are asymptomatic are going to spread it to other people. But at some I think
Yeah.
and this is
I just
probably my conservative side, right, saying we probably need to open it because
yeah.
Republicans would agree with this view, which is saying, hey, we need to open up the economy, we need to get people back into work. But at some point I think we have to, like, I understand public health, but I think there's public health, but then there's, well, people aren't getting paid, and the government isn't, there's no safety net from the government for them if they don't continue to work. So
Yep.
we have to do something.
Like nobody nobody I don't know. I don't know of, and my wife doesn't either. Like my wife was in the first batch of layoffs in the first week of like that 3.5 million people that got laid off, right? And
Right.
she's still to this point. It's a month now. We haven't gotten unemployment. No, I don't know anybody that's gotten laid off that's gotten unemployment. So and I could already see it that they're going to use this stimulus check as a cop out for the unemployment, right? Like where they say, like, hey, look, man, but you got some money. So you
Right.
know what I mean? Like Florida's been a huge failure in that sense, right? Where you're kind of shut down, but not really. Where the ones who are really suffering are the ones with the least. You know what I mean? There's still some businesses that are open depending on all this shit. Like DeSantis yesterday just put out that sports is essential, so that's
WWE
probably to open it up for the UFC,
is
WWE.
business.
Yeah, yeah,
That's essential.
yeah. Like tell me about it. And it's also a lot of it, like, you know what I mean, like Dana White, and we'll, because we're gonna talk about the UFC here shortly. Like Dana White now is on that, like, an advisor on that task force to reopen the company. Like these people have a vested interest in reopening the company because they're losing millions of dollars, right?
Hey,
So,
Ben,
and like you have Vince McMahon on that task force. What's up?
hold
You
that
just
thought
cut me
about
off.
Dana White and Vince McMahon. I know I had to cut you off because I was gonna write this in the comments, but I felt like I needed to
Okay.
say this out loud. Hey, Rob Diaz slash Diesel slash Steven, you were not going to be wrapping anybody up, you fucking ginger. You understand me? Nobody. I felt like that needed to be said on air and not just in the comments section. All right.
Oh,
Don't get a big head
yeah,
because you got a fucking light now and you won't look like you're in a terrorist
yeah,
hostage video. All right.
for real,
Like
though.
we know that your wife still rations out the Moscato that you drink when you come on the show. All right.
Yo, tell me how I told him like, yo, man, I'm proud that you finally got a light. He's like, oh, I thought it was bright to me. How? How did you think that was bright? In what world, son? You had to get up to the laptop to get the light from the Mac to be able to fucking video check. Get out of here, bro. But yeah, look, man, it's a fucking joke, right? Like, so let's go back to the topic before we jump to a whole nother one. Back to the whole Michigan thing. Like, I have a couple questions. Some of these are trolling, some of these are legit. Most of these are half and half, right? Like, if they protested and they marched, did they consistently do social distancing or were they around each other? If they were too close to each other, were they wearing masks? Probably not, because I'm assuming that most of these people are conservatives because Democrats, you know what I mean, tend to stay home more in these situations, right? I just have questions. How does that guy, or that I think it's, how does Maddox, I don't know if it's a male or a female, did she or he ask every single person what their voting record is or what you know what I mean, how they vote? I'm assuming not. So that she asked a couple people here, she asked a couple people, and it's all anecdotal, right? So I'm assuming it's more conservative because I think that person was like the leader of a coalition conservative group. I'm assuming not a lot of liberals and progressives are in that Facebook group. Maybe that's just me. You know what I mean? Because most of the people tend to stay in their echo chambers and shit like that. Now, look,
Right.
do I understand that the economy has to be opened back up? Yes, but that's also discounting the fact that every single day we have more cases. We have more people who are asymptomatic that don't even know. We have people in this country because the message has been so mixed and so fucking ridiculous that some people don't even believe it's real. Some people believe this is all a job of WHO with China. You know what I mean? The WHO with China to destroy the president of the United States, and you know what I mean. And you have the president not listening to all his advisors for the last 4 months now, telling him that shit was going to happen and saying he's not going to wear a mask. So the message has been mixed all across each state. You have this state that's not taking it seriously enough. You have Ohio that shut shit down early, and they still have thousands of cases. You have Michigan who has 25,000 cases. Like, because there's no singular message, you can't criticize. You also can't criticize somebody who has a differing opinion. You get what I'm saying? Because it's not like all 50 governors and the president sat in a room or got on a conference call, was like, all right, guys, let's hammer this out. Let's have a singular message. That's what leadership to me would have been like. You know what I mean? And I'm not putting that on him. Like, I think Biden would have been a fuck up too. You know what I mean? And I think they would have had dissenting opinions if it was Bernie. Let's just call it what it is, right? Like, because all these people have political plans for their future. Like, you have Whitmer, who's a young woman. I think she's a Democrat. Possibly have future plans to maybe run for president. Maybe, you know what I mean? Like, all these people have their own personal gain and personal stake in all of their decision making, right? But because there's no singular message, and no clear cut message on what to do, that's what the real failure in the indictment is on anybody who goes, no, this is the way you should do it. We have no fucking idea. Us alone, we're three assholes most of the time, two assholes on the podcast, just giving our opinions, and we don't fucking know what to do because we don't have a clear message. You can't, like, President Trump can't say, hey, my blocking China from traveling into this country back in January was the right thing to do. We lead the entire world in most cases, right? He can't say that, but he also just blocked all that blocking was just foreign nationals, which is just Chinese people, right? Not any other, like, any people traveling from like Belgium to China and then here, because we still had 430,000 people coming here after that time. So, and it spread, and then you get mixed messages like, oh, it's not that bad. We'll go from 15 to 0. You have DeSantis up until 3 weeks ago not really doing much. You have the guy from Georgia saying, oh, I didn't know that asymptomatic people can transfer it to other people. Like, there's just a lack of intelligence from both parties because there's nobody that's taking this moment. Even Cuomo is a fraud too because he's taking away Medicare from from people who need it most while he's having these press conferences just trying to look good. It's all a fucking sham, bro. Like, for people to believe, like, oh, the president's right because he went up. No, man, everybody's fucking stupid. All of them, bro. Bernie's fucking failed, and I'm a Bernie supporter. Bernie fucking failed in this shit. His messaging is terrible. Biden can't finish sentences. Trump turns red when somebody asks him 2 questions that he doesn't like. Like, what the fuck are we talking about here, bro? And all this is doing, all this mixed messaging and mixed signals is costing American lives, putting first responders at risk, more and more police at risk. Like, what happened to Blue Lives Matter, bro? I ain't heard from them motherfuckers in a minute.
Yeah.
We got, you know what I mean? Sure.
It's it's crazy because we're dealing with something that we've never dealt with before. So it's like everybody's running around trying to figure out what's going on. And you know, I do agree that we need to open up the economy. We need to open up. You know, we can't have, however he said it, the cure worse than the actual pandemic. But we need to kind of, you know, tiptoe a little bit, I guess. I mean, there's no right or wrong answer. I mean, Governor DeSantis definitely, you know, me and my wife were talking about it the other day. He lost my fucking vote because he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Honestly.
Doesn't.
You know, the fact that he didn't close beaches right away and we see, like, what was it, Clearwater? You know, those people there is fucking ridiculous. And, you know, he doesn't have the balls to say, yeah, we're shut down. He's just saying, maybe we're shut down. I don't know, whatever. But, I mean, you know, like I said, you know, I agree with Trump that, you know, he needs to open up the economy. We can't be shut down forever. And now we have scientists saying that we can't open up until 2021 or 2022. That's insane.
Yeah, sporting event.
Science. I'm a science guy. And that's fucking insane. That's ridiculous. That can't happen. You know? And it's we just need to kind of really need to understand, and we do need to test. We do need to have these tests going, man. But, you know, I don't know. I don't know. It's just crazy. You know,
it's madness, bro. Like, look, we don't like. Let's not. If people are watching this or listening to this on all the various platforms from YouTube to Spotify, Stitcher Radio, so on and so forth. Like, look, we don't have the answers, man. But also, any politician that you follow are fanatical of or stand for, if you're telling me that they have the right thing, I think you're wrong, bro. Like, this is. We don't know. This is something completely unforeseen, right? We didn't have the heads up that the government did. You know what I mean? We didn't have the briefings and the conversations. And, like, look, a lot of this is I don't like saying this because it's not something to be said lightly, right? But, like, a lot of this denial of information coming from somebody in the Oval Office is very reminiscent of 9/11, right? George Bush denied the information he was given. When he was giving it to him, you know what I mean, ahead of time, like, yo, man, they might be planning some shit. You know what I mean? That was a plan. This was a virus that affected the entire world. Yes, once you're given the information, what you do with it is up to you. But first, denying that you even got the information, saying that, I didn't read that. That's your inadequacies and your lack of intelligence is costing people's lives, man. Like, I don't get politics in that sense, right? Where it becomes a numbers game to them because every day each state has more and more cases. When you reopen the economy, what do you think is going to happen? You think those people with COVID-19 that aren't on a respirator or in the ER or in the ICU, you think they're not going to try to go back to work because they're feeling a little bit better? Because they have no more money. That $1,200 check is gone with their rent or with their groceries and they have to work. Like, how irresponsible is that? The wanting to force the economy to reopen is understandable, but at what cost, bro? At what because there's no plan. There's no real plan. Like, and again, having only businessmen on that second task force isn't. You know what I mean? Obviously, all of them are gonna say, "Yo, we got to open it up. We need money, man. We need more. We can't have enough." Right. Vince McMahon's on that shit. Dana White's on that shit. Lord, fucking Jared Kushner's on that shit. There's a special right now on fucking Dirty Money that John's talked about countless times on how much of a scumbag he is.
Yeah, I saw that
in New York. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here, bro? Like, you have people again. Like, that business and any person at that higher level, from Mark Zuckerberg to Bill Gates, they're not looking at people as people. It's money and income. You know what I mean? Like they're looking at the analytics and their stock markets and the stock buybacks. You got to stop thinking that these businesses and these corporations and the whole belief in trickle down is actually going to matter to you. You're not going to get any of that shit. Son, you know how I got that check today? You know how fucking nice that felt? And I'm lucky enough to still be collecting a paycheck and still working.
Right.
You know what I mean? Luckily enough, I'm salary and I'm blessed in that situation. But I have too many friends that are struggling. Shit. You know what I mean? We're trying to figure it out, man. And then you're putting people in the position where like they're gonna have to go back to work. And then what if you're a waitress and that one table you host, that lady coughs or she has it or it's just through a conversation and she's not wearing a mask? Like what's gonna happen? You know what I mean? It's wanting to reopen the economy isn't realistic without an actual plan. And I want fucking bullet points. I want a PowerPoint dedicated presentation of what each company and each thing has a guideline. Not like, yo, we'll just leave it up to the governors. No. You already fucked
up. I don't want PowerPoints, man. The army fucking. I was PowerPointed to death when I was in the army. I can't do that shit anymore. Right. To the point where I would just be like this, and I was just trying to stay awake.
I want a clear, singular message. Whatever it is, I want a clear, dedicated.
Yeah, we should have had a united front on this, right? This is one of those situations where the federal government and the states should have... Look, politics should have been put aside. And I know maybe it's naive of me to say that, but this is one of those things that there are times in your life, like 9/11 was one of those times when I was a freshman in college. It was my second week in, and one of the first plane hit the building, and when I got to my apartment, I saw the second plane hit the building. There are certain times in your life where like you have to come together as a country. Fuck politics. Like if you're really a real representative democracy and you want to take care of the people, then you can't be worrying about. And I know it's naive, but you can't be worrying about like, am I going to be reelected for the 8th time because I've been in Congress for 25 years and this is what I do. Like and at that point, you know, you're not really taking care of the people. You're taking care of your whoever's paying for your campaigns and supporting you. But there should have been a united front from what top down or bottom up, whatever it was. But the federal government and the state should have had a singular message, like you said. And some states have been affected more than others, right? New York's got a population that's more concentrated, New York City. And so it's going to be easier for the virus to spread there because they're closer. As opposed to in the middle America and rural areas and stuff like that. But there should have been a united front and a singular message, and it's been the opposite. It's been, well, we're going to let the states do what the states do, or we're not going to provide masks. The stockpile is not going to be provided. The ventilators is not going to be provided to them. And it's funny because I read the articles where the website for that agency said one thing, and then after Jared Kushner said what he said, they changed the writing on the website for that agency to match mirror what he said. And those games shouldn't be going on. Like really, if we have to consider everything, right? Public health officials need to be on that council, but businessmen should be on that council as well. Absolutely, because we have to open the economy at some point, and we have to take their consideration, their expertise in business and in industry, as well as public health officials and scientists and virologists and people that's how they see this pandemic. They see it through the lens of how is the virus going to spread. They're not seeing it through the economic aspect because they're scientists and that's not what they're trained to do. But you need to have those types of people on that council so we can have an educated conversation. But to just be businessmen and say, hey, this is what we're going to do. I mean, if we're up to Jared, we would have opened up last week, 3 weeks ago. And here's Rob Diaz telling me to wrap it up. Rob, yo, how about you fucking shave your raggedy ass beard?
I mean, it's dangerous that we're having businessmen as the second task force. It's very dangerous. I mean, May 1st opening up, I think it's too soon. I mean, school is over, June 3rd? So in my point of view, I'm like, why are you opening up schools? Doesn't make sense. But I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like I said.
No.
I agree.
Dude,
I agree that we can't be shut down forever, but it has to be a strategy. You can't just go blindfolded and see. Okay, let's see what happens. No, that can't happen. We can't.
How
we can't
irresponsible was it? Sorry, Chris.
Yeah,
go ahead. Finish your thought, bro. No, go
What
ahead.
I'm saying is we can't say, oh, let's do it and see what happens when the dust settles. You're playing with people's lives. You're playing with people's lives, and these politicians don't understand that. I thought we were in unison at the beginning when Trump was saying, oh, I talked to this Democratic governor and this Democratic governor, and we had a great conversation and blah blah blah. And I'm like, oh shit, you actually can do it. Great, wonderful, awesome. But then, shit started going down.
It changed.
Yeah.
I thought and like I think what puts like the nail in the coffin in this sentiment where you want to people talk about reopening the country and just states. Like I think Florida goes, oh, we're gonna reopen the schools or whatever. When May 1st, you have a month left of school, just finish out the school year. When DeSantis goes, well, young people aren't getting it, and if they do, they're not. I was like, hey, but motherfucker, they got parents, they got grandparents. How you don't know how biology works, son? Like they have people in the house. What if the dad or the mom have underlying conditions like diabetes, COPD? What if they have grandparents? What if they have a mom in the house that they take care of because the mom can't take care of herself anymore or the dad can't? Like you're putting more people at risk for no reason. Schools and districts are figuring it out now with the online process, right? Let them finish out the year and approach 2021 and you go forward. Like there's no point in going back. School is the least of the issues. Teachers are still getting paid. They'll come back. You know what I mean? Like that is the smallest potato. But that's a stupid petri dish because they have parents, grandparents, great grandparents. What if the kid has underlying conditions? What if we start fucking? It's just stupid, bro. But what do you expect? It's Florida.
Yeah, there's no value added. I think the president or maybe DeSantis said that there's value added to them going back. There is no value added to go back and finish out 1 or 2 weeks. I did homeschool my son for a while. My wife did. We both did, and now there's now that we have going through this pandemic, they have online courses and what he's doing, and what the school set up for him and his teachers, and it's just fine. They provided a curriculum, a structure for him. We're there. We go through it with him. I'm working from home, so I'm not there. I mean, I could be there for him every minute, but I'm not. But I'll go and check on him and see what he's doing. He knows that if he needs help, he can reach out to me. Hell, if I was at work in the office, he could reach out to me. Just give me a call, FaceTime me, whatever. There's no. What value you're gonna get from going back to school for 1 or 2 weeks? I don't see it. Finish out the school year. These grades aren't going to count anyway. It's just grades to help you continue the curriculum and help prepare you for next year. So 1 or 2 weeks isn't going to do anything at this point, unless you want kids to go back and you're going to add add a month and a half to the school year or add a month to the school year to make up for what they've missed this last month. If you're not going to do that, then what's the point of going back for 1 week? I don't see it.
There is no point.
It doesn't make any sense.
Testing is canceled, so. Honestly, I don't even see it, but yeah, common sense is not so common, like I always say, gentlemen.
Yeah, common sense is not so common. That's
common sense is one elusive motherfucker, bro. That is one elusive motherfucker for some people, man. All right, gentlemen, let's address the elephant in the room. My deletion of motherfucking Instagram, bro. How fucking ridiculous.
Sonic the Hedgehog took you out, man. You know what it was? Was there music to it? Was there a music in the background? Was it copyrighted music? Or was it because it looked like the person flicking the little hedgehog looked like they were playing with the little hedgehog's penis? Because I thought you posted some fucking hedgehog porn.
I honestly thought that's what was going to happen. I'm like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I'm like, what are you posting, some hedgehog porn here? What is that dude doing flicking the hedgehog? What is going on?
Like, when I watched it the first time, I thought, I was like, oh, this guy's about to murder this hedgehog. Like, I don't know what I'm about to see. He's about to drown this hedgehog. But I saw it, I was like, yo, this hedgehog, you know what I mean? Like, I try to post light, funny shit on my Instagram. I talk my political shit and trolling on Facebook, right? If you guys both follow me on both, you see how it is. So that's how I tend to do it. I thought I'm just posting some light shit, dude. To get deleted, my account deleted for I think it was the music, right? Like to get my account deleted because of a fucking hedgehog video has to be like I wanted a better story. You know what I mean? Like if I ever got in Facebook jail or deleted from something, I wanted some outlandish shit, like some dude getting decapitated because he was at a stoplight. You know what I mean? Some dark. You know what I mean? Like we've all seen it. We've all seen Faces of Death. Let's be real here, people. We've all seen that shit, right? Like if it was something like that, all right, you got me. I probably shouldn't have posted that. A fucking hedgehog taking a bath in a plastic see-through cup got me deleted from Instagram, bro. And then because I also have my Manchester podcast account, that shit got deleted because it was associated. I didn't even know they did that shit. They got a fucking an accomplice to murder. You know what I mean? When there was no murder, son. Like, what are we talking about here? I could not. Here we go with this fucking guy. Look how that's Chris. What you don't understand, what you don't really see because he's so small. That's actually like the little bottles that they sell behind the cashier. That's actually the size of that.
I risked my life to get this bottle. All right.
Dude, I'm gonna have to get another one. Look at this shit. I'm running low here, bro.
I'm running low. I gotta get mine next time, next podcast if I'm invited.
Yeah, man, you're always welcome to come back.
Hey,
but yeah, dude.
Before you get back on your story, Steven said that supposedly there are 25% of students that are not logging on to do their remote learning classwork, which makes sense, right? Because there are parents that are working and they don't have time to check on their kids to make sure they're doing whatever.
And there's parents doing. And there's kids that you got to also think about. Like, we think internet is just like a normal thing. Like, I didn't really realize and appreciate the internet I used to have till I moved here. Like having to have like rural like satellite internet is a totally like new concept. I thought everybody in the motherfucking world had fucking internet that you have in a house in a developed area. There's students that are living rurally or don't have the money that don't have access to internet because their parents can't afford it. Like we think because we have it, everybody does. There's kids that might not have it, man.
Yeah, Spectrum and AT&T have something going on here because we're in the situation we're in to where they're providing free internet to help with either people that are working from home or kids that have to do those remote learning things.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro.
But you were saying,
Chris, are you having
Sonic got you canceled?
So I wish it was fucking Sonic. A fucking hedgehog, bro. A fucking hedgehog got me deleted off Instagram. It is annoying. So both my accounts are gone. Obviously, I'm back on with a whole new account. It was just the most. I couldn't believe it. I was like, "What the fuck?" I go to log on. I was like, "All right, man, I still have this one." I go to click it, and John goes, "Oh, it's still there." I was like, "Yo, no, it's not." And it goes, "Now it's gone." I was like, it was the weirdest fucking thing, bro. It was so weird. So that is my soapbox story of the day. I got deleted for a fucking hedgehog.
That's crazy.
A hedgehog, bro.
Talk about the little thing, man. Jesus.
Talk about the little thing. It was the smallest hedgehog.
It was. Hey, but speaking of these, the hedgehog, because that video is trending. You know, my favorite meme or my favorite whatever is trending. The Ghanaian or African dancing pallbearers. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yes. Yep.
And the beat that they put behind it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
My wife is so sick of it because I play that shit all the time. I made a video for my cousin. He's a fan of this Venezuelan baseball team, Los Navegantes de Magallanes, and so they've been eliminated the last couple of years. And so I created a clip. I found someone had a clip on YouTube of all the times they've been eliminated. So I took that clip and then I took the pallbearer dancing meme. And so every time they got eliminated, I just chopped it all up. And you may or may not have seen it. I put it up on Instagram. But my wife hates it because I put that shit on 2, 3, 4 times a day. I'm like, I just can't stop listening to this fucking song, like the beat, and then watching these dudes dance with the fucking coffin. Like that's just fire. That's I know. I told Chris this is gonna replace Ultra since Ultra is not on anymore for this year. He's like, that's sacrilege. I'm like,
Yeah.
no, dude. Like this is better than Ultra. Fuck that.
Fuck
These
Ultra.
dudes dancing with a coffin on their
Fuck
shoulders.
Ultra. Dude, they're like really dancing, bro. That shit is amazing, man.
Yeah.
They're like really getting it too. I saw a meme. I saw a meme that was remember like it was a couple years ago. It was like those African kids like dancing in the street, like in their underwear. It was like, oh, this is them now, and it has like the guys carrying the coffin. It was like, this is them now. Feel old yet? So they're everywhere, man. That shit has taken over, bro.
Oh man,
Yes, man.
Taken over, man.
Yeah, I mean,
Hey, I know we're running like an hour and a half now, but we haven't gotten to this, and I don't want you to forget about it. You wanted to talk about UFC and Dana White.
Yeah, yeah. So
I don't want you to lose that
KG,
thought.
if you haven't,
Essential Tap.
if you haven't been paying attention, UFC is still gonna put on a fight on May 9th, right? Where I don't know, they don't know where they're gonna put it. You know what I mean? I guess they're hurting for money, trying to put out, and that card looks stacked. But me and John have talked about it before. I mean, you tune in all the time and listen, and you're part of the shit. So I don't understand how they're gonna put stuff on like that. Any sporting event. This is why nobody likes it. That's how you know he's been drinking.
I'm sorry, I'll let you go back. I just have to watch these dudes dance with this fucking coffin. That's all right. I'm done. Unfortunately, it had to be during you talk. Actually, no, it's not unfortunate that it happened when you were talking.
Oh, you planned it, motherfucker.
But go
But
ahead.
yeah, dude, like they're gonna put out a sporting event. They're gonna put out a card in the middle of a pandemic for whatever reason, bro. I don't understand it. And I'm a UFC fan.
Money talks, dude. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's all it is, bro. What do you got, JV?
Dude, May 9th? We're supposed to open up by May 1st, and May 9th they want to put one up already. Like, if any time in history taught you that sports weren't really significant, even though I'm a sports fan and I want to be watching live sports, this is one of those times, right? Like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
I'd rather watch these
fuck.
athletes play fucking video games or play a basketball game, NBA 2K or whatever the hell they're playing now, than play an actual game. Like, if you're going to be at close proximity, that's when you're going to be at the closest, you know, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
I don't get it either. And I think back to your point with the athletes playing games, I think they should play games that they don't play. You know what I mean? Like if they play basketball, they should play like
UFC or something. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Like they should play sports that they don't, because I think that's more like have them playing FIFA or football. You know what I mean? Like the counter sports to what, like NASCAR, not NASCAR, because who gives a fuck about that? Shout out to that
I used to
guy
watch that shit when I was younger, by the way. I used to sit there and watch NASCAR and Grand Prix and all that shit for hours on Sundays.
Every time, sometimes when you talk about the podcast, I realize I made a mistake having you on, but then you're the co-host and I got
Look, we grew up in Springs, and I'm light skinned, and and then I watched golf only because Tiger was playing, and usually only on Sundays.
There you go. Makes sense.
Makes sense. But yeah, dude, it's all about the money. Yo, Chris, I got money on the fact that that fight will probably be in Florida, because if WWE is essential in Florida, they'll find a way to put the UFC here too.
Absolutely.
That's what it is, bro.
Definitely see the sense like, oh yeah, sure, okay. You know, can I get a percent of that?
Exactly.
Let me get a percent of that.
Yeah. Can we get a cut? Yeah. I mean, he's on. Dana White's on the fucking task force to reopen the economy.
Yeah, I'm definitely a hypocrite because I don't think they should put it on, but if it goes on, I'm watching that shit for sure.
Yeah, of course.
I'm for
VPN
sure
it, baby.
That shit.
VPN it.
Huh? Yeah.
A VPN. That's what you say. That's what you say when you don't want to say it.
VPN it.
VPN.
No, yeah, I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying VPN. Like what did I say wrong? What did I say wrong?
So who's on the second?
I'm so glad. Hey, bro, you muted yourself. You dumbass.
Not only will I be watching it, but this will be in the background.
You're stupid. You're stupid.
I know.
So I think it's basically Trump's entire administration, along with his kid, his son-in-law, Dana White, Vince McMahon, and there's like a bunch of other rich businessmen advisors. So
smart.
All businessmen, no doctors, no virologist, no epidemiologist, nobody with any kind of science degree. Maybe some social science. Like a social science degree.
There's no science about it. Pretty much. There's no balance.
Nothing. None of it. No balance. It's all about, of course companies want to open it back up.
Of course.
But
so in your professional opinion, when should we open back up?
Dude, I have no fucking idea. That's my professional opinion.
We do have to open back up, right? Because people aren't working.
We absolutely.
So at some point we have to.
Here's my non-professional opinion, because I'm a fucking asshole on social media and on the internet. Unless you get testing, I am. Unless you get testing really handled and find out what's going on and give a better, clear message than having different voices, until you get, that's not a good way to go about it, because you can have a conversation with 4 different people and you get 4 different opinions. And not to say that we have to become sheep or 1984 George Orwell, where you kowtow to the corporations and the government. That's not what I'm saying. But at least have a better understanding, right? Because I'll tell you from my own, like, I've completely tuned out the Trump press conferences because they don't bring anything to my intelligence. You know what I mean? I don't get anything from them. So I don't watch the government.
I was disappointed over the weekend. He went 2 days without having press conferences, and I was disappointed that I didn't get like my daily Trump improv that I look forward to every day.
Yeah,
I was let down a little bit.
First of all, real quick, you're a nasty person. You work for a different company, now you work for a new one now. Who keeps track of somebody else's employment record? Like, who the fuck cares? Like, when Chris opens up his charter school, I'm not gonna be like, "Hey, but you were a teacher." You know what I mean? I'm like, "Yo, man, congratulations on you."
But you're a teacher. You're a teacher. You weren't good enough for your school, so now you have to open up your own school.
You were. Some say you were a good teacher, but some say you weren't. And then, in the words of teachers, you were in the big side and the little side. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? Who talks like that, bro? Like, again, we can't. It's a caricature of politics in every sense of the word. The motherfucker brought up a PowerPoint with things the media has said. Hey, fuckface, you're the voice. Funny. You're the voice of 65 to 75 million people, right? Have a better conversation with them. Like, he brought out receipts, son. He brought out screenshots.
Yeah. And then the reporter asked him, "Well, why did you feel the need to show that?" That's a nasty question. That's crazy. That's the time we're living in, where the president has to show a PowerPoint presentation, and his PR department has to put that together for him. Like, whoever it is, it happens to be Trump now. It could have been Obama. It could be Biden. Whatever. Like, that's crazy. Like, that's not what we should be focusing on. We should be focused on delivering a message to reassure the American people, or maybe not reassure them, but giving people facts. Because I understand part of politics and the position that they hold is not to cause any more chaos and any more, than what we're already facing. But that's not what we're watching those fucking press conferences for. My numbers are great. They're higher than fucking Survivor or whatever the fuck he's saying. Like, who cares? We're not then The Bachelor. We're not watching for that. We're watching for information and for something from the top.
Yeah.
Here's my, as far as the press conferences, and I'm very lucky to have my wife that we kind of see the same page. We watch CNN a lot, not a lot, but like most of the time. And there are times when he's speaking and they just cut him off, right? So to me, it's like, he's still our president. He's still our president of the United States. Whether you disagree or agree, you're there to just report facts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, don't
Yep.
be biased. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And,
no, I've seen that.
and it's disgusting. It really is. I mean, whether you agree with him or not, he's still my president. You know, there's times where I agree with him, and there's times where I disagree with him. But that's just life.
Right.
That whole thing
I
where
get into fights with people where like, how could you agree with Trump? He's a dickhead. He's an asshole. He's stupid. But well, some things he does right. I mean, like I don't understand.
Right.
And that's why I say like we're so off base. But there's no central form of thinking. You know, there's no two sides to the story. It's always either you're liberal or you're conservative, or you can't. You know, there's no middle point. We have to have a happy medium. We do. It's definitely essential to our society. We need to have somebody that's kind of a centralist, kind of has their feet on the ground. You know.
No, yeah, I agree. I've seen it. It happens both ways, but I have seen it, whether it's CNN or someone else, when they're asking you a question, they kind of cut them off. And unfortunately, but he's done the same thing, right? Where a reporter, and it's usually a liberal or a left-leaning reporter, is asking something, and he's probably already seen where the question is going, or it's a follow-up question, and he cuts them off. And so it goes both ways. But the press is there; they should be there to report facts, and I get. It's just a fucking weird situation we're in, because Trump was this candidate that was never supposed to be a real candidate, and then he got elected because, well, he's different than the establishment, and now he is who he's shown himself to be. And bro, it's funny to me. I find his press conferences hilarious, especially during this. Even though it's not a funny time, I find his improv every time he gets on there hilarious. You have the media kind of trying to challenge him, almost trying to get him in a I gotcha moment, trying to cut him off, trying to ask this, trying to ask that. So I see it from that way, right? But it's both, because sometimes a reporter will be asking a question, and then he'll just cut him off and not let them finish asking that question, and he'll just give him whatever answer he has that he wants to give them, and then he'll move on to the next person. So you're right, I see it, but it happens both ways. Like, it's just, how can we get some real information? And the media really, I think, shouldn't be biased, right? But we have left and right media, so it's biased. But they shouldn't be. We should have facts, and
like there shouldn't.
We're trying to find them.
Like, one of my favorite
sidebar.
Ben, you need to shut your mouth. Because Chris is talking, so you need to just shut the fuck up.
I have a question.
He is the guest. I am respectful of my guest.
Trump. Go ahead.
What up?
Man. I want to ask both of you guys your.
No. So what I was gonna say was that I think what we forget, and and there's a left and right media, so each has their bias. You have the right; they'll give them softballs. You have the left who will challenge them. I think that's just people's natural bias. You know what I mean? Like John's gonna have his natural bias that he can't help. But we also have to remember that the media has to be a watchdog and adversarial to whoever's in power, right? They can't just be, hey man, whatever you're saying is right. You know what I mean? And just let him talk. Because, that happened a lot. Remember when Obama was in, like, Fox News would just shit on him, like for mustard on his hot dog. You know what I mean? And different shit, like when he wore the tan suit. Yeah, the tan suit. You know what I mean? Like calling his wife a gorilla in heels, like on actual Fox News. You know what I mean? Like all these different things that people casually forget about. You know what I mean? That's not media either. Like, yes, like you have to, as a media member, I think you have to be adversarial and ask the tougher questions, because you're there to check power, so it doesn't go unchecked and it just becomes totalitarian, and then they're never questioning, everything they say is right. But you also don't have to cut them off, because the answer you're getting to your question isn't something you wanted to hear. You know what I mean? That's also not fair. You're allowed to ask the question, and whatever bullshit he gives you, you can have a response to, but you can't control what he's going to respond back.
Yeah, you got to let him finish. It goes both ways. Yeah. You have to let the president talk. Like, he's still the president whether you agree with that whole thing where he's not my president. Yeah, he's everybody's president. Period. You live
Exactly.
in this country. You're a citizen, a resident, or whatever. You're living here. He's your president. You don't have to like it,
Yep.
but that's the way it is. And so
Hands down.
Exactly.
I see that shit all the time on social media, right? And like, he's your president. You didn't vote for him. You didn't want him, but he's your president. And so you don't live in
I've
Spain.
never-
You live in the U.S. But yeah, and the media, when you
Exactly.
ask a question, you got to let him finish. And in the same token, if someone is asking you a question, he should let them finish asking the question as opposed to cutting them off because you know where the question is headed and you don't like the direction that the question is headed. It's a two-way
So,
street.
Chris, I'll let you ask your question, what you were going to ask in 1 second. But you got to keep that same energy, right? Like if you're the president and you're going to cut people off, and you're the leader in that room, right? You're the leader of the free world. You can't then get mad because you get cut off, right? Like if you're in an argument, you got to keep that same energy in the conversation. Like, oh, if you want to be all bad and brolicky, hey, motherfucker, we gonna have some words then. Like I'm not just gonna listen. That's probably why I couldn't last as long as John did in the military. Like I had too much issues with authority. Well documented, right? Well documented.
Yeah, I think you told me about him.
Yeah, well documented issues with authority. A couple fights. I hated a couple of my NCOs. I thought they were stupid.
Did you fight an E7?
They got stripes and just. I did fight an E7, and we don't.
Yeah, I remember that.
Motherfucker, you just said it. I'm not gonna bring it up, and then you just bring it up on live on the podcast. No, that's thanks, bro.
Oops. That's what happens when you have a fucking ginger cousin who keeps giving me shit on the podcast.
I fought an E7, not knowing he was an E7, and tried to get me on a net retroactive Article 15. That shit got thrown out because my E7 is the motherfucking man. So you know what I mean? Like I have no problem questioning authority. I'm all about it. You know what I mean? I'm not a sheep. I'm not cattle. Never been that way. I've been in cattle trucks when I was in basic. That's about as cattle as it gets for me. You know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean? That's all it goes. Like, and it's been like that on our side. Like I talked about it. We talked about it before. Fanaticism is something that I can't rock with. I just can't be a yes man to anybody, bro. Like for nothing. Like it's just not who I am. I'm not built that way, and it's never gonna happen with me. And it's not. And I've never. You, John, we've been friends the entirety of this presidency. You've never seen me say he's not my president. I'm a question. I'm a shit on him. I'm gonna give him the same. I'm gonna give him the same energy. But I've never belittled him by giving him a nickname besides the fucking moron. But you know what I mean. And the orange guy.
You belittle him,
you know what I mean? I question his intelligence, but that's because he has none. You know what I mean? Like that's just my stance on it.
But he graduated from Yale, right? He's got to have some intelligence. He's at Yale.
No. It was. No, I thought it was like Brown or Penn or something like that. It's another like Ivy League school that his dad donated a wing to. Shout out to Fred Trump. Really started.
Don't shout out to Fred Trump.
KKK isn't cool, but all right, Chris, what you got, KG?
So and I watched Bill Maher. I don't know if you guys watch Bill Maher, but
he's too much, man. Yeah,
he's great. I love him. But he's always asking these questions to Republicans and Democrats. What's going to happen if Trump says the election is rigged and he doesn't leave office? Is he going to leave?
I don't think so.
You know what? I'm ignorant. I'm ignorant to what we can do. Can we force him to leave? Is there something in the Constitution or in the law that says that we can that he needs to leave and someone else needs to be in place?
Yeah.
Because I am ignorant to it. So I can't speak to it.
I genuinely don't know, and that's a great question, and we gotta look that up and figure that out. I think we're too many drinks in to be able to do a Google search because John just.
But Chris knows because he's ready to give us an answer. He's like, yes, there's something there.
So what's the process if he doesn't leave office?
There's no like proper answer, but yes, it is an election. If he's not voted by the people, he does need to step down as president. However, if he says, "Oh, it's rigged," people are unfair, blah blah blah, if he doesn't leave, then per the Constitution, I believe that he needs to be kicked out by military.
Like not active duty, right? It would be National Guard because active duty military can never be on American soil. That's why we have a National Guard. So I don't even know how that would work.
Wait, I mean, he's to be kicked out by the military as far like how would
dragged out.
I honestly, yeah.
I don't think it would happen. I think he'd stay.
Hopefully he doesn't do it, but it definitely be the first time. I mean, we could definitely save this for another podcast, but that's something that does scare me, honestly.
And so you're referring to him saying the due to the
Saying
coronavirus,
the election is
possibly that this was part of like a hoax or something, or that this was part of something to bring him down and affect his election, the election year.
I mean, I could totally see that talking point, right?
Yeah, our election year is in November, so he could say, "Oh, because of the coronavirus, and people couldn't go and vote, and blah blah blah," and then I hate mailing in votes, and illegal aliens.
Yeah, he already did that.
And da. So that kind of sets precedent as to
yeah. I mentioned it because I've read those articles and I've heard those talking points like the coronavirus is a democratic hoax or a democratic tactic to try to we're in an election year to affect the elections, and then mail-in ballots aren't as reliable, etc., etc. Yet we have to fill a census, and it's being mailed or emailed to us. So the census is good, but the ballot isn't good enough. So that's
a point.
He could definitely challenge.
You can't have your cake and eat it too. We want to do the census, and that the mail or email is good enough for that. But the ballot and voting isn't good enough for that. Let's
be honest. As a fellow fat person, right? Trump definitely eats his cake, right? Like this, he talks out of both sides of his mouth. However, whatever benefit it gives him. But look, I'll be honest with you, Chris. I don't see him losing in November, right? I see him winning by a fucking landslide over Biden. That doesn't have that. I don't even think they're going to do debates, right? Trump will do his press conferences, and Biden will try to do his live streams that won't work, where he can't hear people and look completely useless. You know what I mean? Unless he picks a very vibrant and leadership-worthy caliber of a vice president. You know what I mean? Instead of some like little coward that just, you know what I mean? That he has to pick somebody young, vibrant, and fiery to really get people moving. Because nobody, again, it's going to be the same thing as 2015. Nobody's going to vote for Biden. They're just going to vote against Trump, and more people are going to vote for Trump. That's where the people show up. And I've been saying since this whole shit, since last Tuesday where Bernie got fucking wiped out, I think it's going to be like 44-6 Trump winning, bro. Like, I don't know what electoral college points that gets, but I think it'll be 44 states to 6. Like, you get the super blue states where like the Northeast and California and maybe like a Colorado in there. But I think all the other states go to Trump because, again, it's going to be a vote for. And those motherfuckers don't even believe the coronavirus is real. So they're going to show up to the polls.
Right. And don't get me wrong.
Shit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We got Rob Diaz here saying Michelle Obama for VP. Mark my words.
Wow.
That'd be a terrible pick.
Absolutely not.
Pick.
I thought it would be Bernie, but sure.
It
won't be Bernie, but it will never be
Bernie. It should be Bernie, but it'll never be Bernie. It should be in every way facet Bernie, but it won't be.
But Michelle Obama would definitely be a continuation of Barack Obama's presidency, right?
Honestly, I do. But what if? And I know we can't live our lives as what if, but that could be a real what if.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. I mean, we'll see, but I don't know. I think it's more likely that that he doesn't have an election in November because of the coronavirus, and just like postpones it, and then it'll be like done at like a later date. That's my little theory on that. Be done at a later date, and that later date never happens.
Here's what I want.
I mean,
Here's what I want to do. I want to kind of research it and then come back and talk about it, if that's okay with you, man.
Dude, you're always welcome to come on the show, man. I know you got kids, so you got to do it later. So just hit me up. We talk all the time anyway, and we'll figure it out. Do you see John that just like erased himself from the conversation? Because I don't see this motherfucker at all.
Did he log off?
Are you serious?
I don't know what he did. I think he got upset that my cousin was trolling him, and he just bounced.
Are you serious? Don't bullshit, because I'm still live, by the way.
He has to come back on because he has to end the fucking podcast. We could just keep rambling on.
You seriously can't see me? God damn it.
Fucked up. Like if we ended
Look,
it,
I
just
haven't.
fucking sit
Hey! I
there for
haven't had that
hours.
many drinks.
His laptop probably died because he's stupid and forgot to plug it in.
Oh
Yo,
man,
man,
You motherfucker.
completely unrelated.
this is definitely something
Do you
that
see yourself? Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was just saying, I love what you're
What were
doing.
you gonna say?
This is something that this is needed. Definitely have growing conversations, difference of opinions, okay, but
Yep.
great way to understand each other, and for the people that are listening, it's a great way to kind of start thinking about things. This is the kind of conversations we need to.
Yeah, this is the reason why I honestly started the podcast. You know what I mean? Like I've had my stepfather on that's come on the show that's completely and utterly conservative, and it's probably one of my most favorite podcasts because it's a completely different and opposing point of view, and I really enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Where we didn't agree on anything, where I couldn't let my bias, you know what I mean, consume the conversation, where I just had to like ask him the questions and let him have it, because there's things, you know what I mean? It's also a different demographic, right? He's in his late 50s. He's going to have a different perspective and opinion on things than I am. You know what I mean? And it's enjoyable. I really like it. John says he's on, but he's not. We don't see John at all. So, but yeah, man, like this is something I love to do, bro. Like, especially with this being stuck at home, the stay at home shit. It's definitely, you know what I mean, help pass the time. You know, because there's only so much TV you can watch. There's only so many times I can walk my dog in the day. You know what I mean? I try to stay as active as possible, bro. But it gets crazy, man. Why is he sending me voice messages when I can't play his fucking video, his voice messages on a podcast? This fucking moron, bro.
Hey, by the way, you two fucks, I'm still on. Everyone's watching me.
How
you just have shitty internet because you guys can't see me.
Dude,
all right,
you see this?
It's not my fault you guys can't see me.
I know, bro. I know.
Rob, I know you see me. And, they can't see me. It's not my fault. It's not my fault, man.
For me.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pause the broadcast for a
like,
second.
Dude, I sit in the chair and my wife does it like in the bathroom. She just shaves it down for me, bro.
Nice.
Like, you know what I mean? Because there's spots in the back. I got a big ass head, son. Like there's spots in the back I can't quite reach. You know what I mean? And I got short arms, so I have to help. She has to help me out.
Hey, you motherfucker! I'm still live. I'm still coming up on fucking YouTube and Facebook.
FaceTube. He said FaceTube.
That's right. Yes, I said FaceTube. That means I've had one too many drinks.
Like he carries the software.
At least I'm not coming up on LobsterTube.
My back and legs hurt from carrying this show sometimes, Chris. You know what I mean? Just the squatting,
Listen,
squatting and deadlifting
you
have
shit.
to do with this dead weight ass
Rob,
person.
Steven, will you talk to your cousin? Tell this dude to stop
belief.
talking on the fucking show so I can restart our fucking broadcast.
Whenever you want to come back on, bro, hit me up. You know what I mean? We gotta wait till John comes back anyway so he can end this shit correctly. Fucking moron. But you know what I mean? Whenever you want to come back on, like if you want to come back on when we have Felix on, my boy that we had on Sunday, you know what I mean? Because I thought that conversation that we had with him about UBI was something I had never thought of. You know what I mean? He really like opened my eyes to a lot of that shit about like the perspective of UBI, because I really hadn't researched it the way he had, so I definitely learned something in that conversation. You know what I mean? And talking with you about the whole $15 an hour thing. You know what I mean? Like these are conversations that regular people actually have, like not the talking point shit of like a retweet or of a shared meme.
You're watching me right now.
That happens.
He's
telling me to shut the fuck up. So
can you guys stop talking?
Really impossible. Because we're hosting a podcast.
Restart this thing.
The dead air would suck.
It would not suck.
But yeah, man, we definitely need these conversations, and it's okay to have a difference of opinion. I don't understand why I have these sometimes I have Facebook where oh, you're a socialist and you're a communist. Like, okay, I'm not, but this is what I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So
exactly, bro.
We need to widen our perspective. We definitely need to widen our perspective.
Yeah, it's okay, bro. Yeah, it's crazy. All right, he said he's gonna end it or some shit. He said he's gonna end Rendezvous dead air in 10 seconds. Just wait. Hey viewers, if you're watching this, just wait, because my co-host is a fucking moron.
No,
and ended his own live stream
No,
We're
I
still
did
live,
not.
but he's not.
Benjamin, shut your fucking mouth.
Dead
Alright.
Just
weight,
wait
bro.
10 seconds.
Dead fucking weight.
God damn it, you are a fucking clown. By the way, I've been live the whole fucking time. You both couldn't see me, but I've been live the whole time.
Yeah, it was a better conversation. You know what I mean?
We're live. That wasn't
Like
about a conversation. I was listening to it.
that-
Both of you shut the fuck
That
up.
that shirt coming off video is a better conversation, right? Now, let's be honest. Let's be honest, real quick.
It's not a Bugle Boy
let's-
shirt, by the way. It's
No,
a
no,
Walmart
no.
shirt, for
I
sure.
know, but you got that from the teens, from the teen section at Ross, right?
No, dude. Fucking. Ah!
What do you, what,
Get
what
your
are you
weight
doing?
up.
What did you? What did?
Get your
What are you
weight up,
talking?
son.
What was that right there?
Get your weight
That
up,
was
son.
the stripes, bro. That was your vertical stripes. Had nothing to do with your muscles. You just put your
No?
arms
Oh,
in. That's not
so
how.
now you're
muscle-
trying to make up an excuse for why I'm fucking cutting
No, no.
ripped. Okay. This is what Chris
No,
D'Elia
definitely
has
not.
to go through. This is what D'Elia goes
No,
through. The difference between D'Elia and I, one, he's a foot taller and he's funny. But two, I've
and a
got
half.
bigger legs than he does. That dude's got like a fucking 12-year-old legs. That's the difference.
Because you were compact, John. Because you're 5'3". It's of course he's gonna have shorter legs.
Oh,
Listen,
so now you're
that's-
making
I'm-
excuses
We're not
because
getting
you're
to the rest of this
fanboying over
conversation.
D'Elia? You're making excuses because you're fanboying over D'Elia. You got a man crush on another
he has
dude.
a
I
fan-
got you.
He has John Jones. He has John Jones legs, without a question. But you're also a short man. Hey Chris, have you seen what happens when John goes to his natural height in the chair? You want to see? You want to see how off camera he is? Go ahead, John. Show the people.
Jesus
show the
Christ.
people, John. John, show the people.
Is this what
John.
you do to make yourself feel better? Is this
We
what you do to
have a
make
guest.
yourself feel better?
We have a
Huh?
Don't be disrespectful.
Because
be
you're wearing
rude.
that fucking bullshit turtleneck?
Oh, no.
Oh.
First of all, it's because I have a short neck. I told you I have a short neck. And
Because
it
you
looks
haven't
like a
shaved
turtleneck.
that fucking bullshit. Oh, that beard you got going on. Okay.
Oh, great too, John. Show Chris. Don't be disrespectful. Show Chris how tall you naturally are.
Don't be disrespectful.
Don't be
Look,
rude.
We all know
Chris.
we all know I'm 5'4" on a good day. But if this is gonna fucking get your rocks off, if this is what happens, I'm gonna do this because I'm the co-host and I'm going to just help the show along, all right?
Chris, watch this. Watch this, Chris. This is when his
Man,
feet
this,
reach the
this is
ground.
gonna make your week, man. Okay, you've had a rough day, a rough week at work. It's gonna make your week. All right.
Watch this.
Damn
This
it.
is when his feet hit the ground, Chris. Watch. Look, I want you to see this. Right now, his
Damn
feet
it.
are on.
Oh shit.
His feet are on.
Oh, shit.
All right.
All right.
We're good. I think you
You
just
feel
say
better about yourself now? You feel better?
The mic went like this. The mic. What was this? Oh,
You
all
fucking
right, man.
anti-vaxxer. You feel better about yourself?
Oh, my boy, Chris, man, it was great having you on the show, bro. Anytime I'm crying. Anytime you want to come back on, man, just let me know. We're just fucking stuck at home too, so we're always available. It's not like
Yeah,
we got
man.
shit going on, unless we got like some shit.
Yeah, John, and thank you for I really appreciate it. I would definitely love to have you on. Like I was saying, or you were hearing, John, I want to kind of do some more research on that and kind of come, talk about it. Is that, that's
For sure, bro.
that's-
Absolutely, man. JV, what you got?
No, man, this is really it's a really good conversation. Unfortunately, it's unfortunate that it ended the way it did, with you trying to make yourself feel better, about yourself.
No, it
But,
ended perfect. It ended perfect.
Well,
If you're listening to this,
is
please
just
watch the video.
this is
please
an
watch the
ongoing
video where-
conversation, right? We'll definitely have Chris back on, and
Yeah.
these are the types of conversations that we should be having, as opposed to just someone
Yep.
that's on one side of the aisle and someone on the other side, and they're just close-minded. Like, these are the conversations that should be going on around the country in larger groups,
Yeah.
so people know
Yep.
where everyone stands and why someone thinks the way they do. They do. So thanks for coming on. I appreciate it, and I'm sure you'll be on the show plenty more times.